last American true outlaw, Wino.
You have kings, you have priests, you have demigods, you have gods, and then you have Wino.
He's a riff master, a riff lord.
I'm not worried about, like, you know, the long drives or whatever it might be. You do what you do.
He's the embodiment. Then you get, oh, okay, maybe I will be free another fucking day.
Let's go, motherfuckers. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. Just get ready, man. Just get ready for a great show. All you out there, everybody in Europe, everybody in the land of the free and the home of the brave. This is one of those shows. I got a good feeling about today's show. It happens once in a while. And this is one of those shows. Got a good feeling about today's shows. What's up, Ray Hogan? That's right. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. All the best to you. Yes. Yes, Fuzz Tone. Yep. Wino, heavy metal, doom. It's going to be a good one. Mark my words. Get off my lawn. Mark my words. Yo, Rich Zola, what's up, bro? Good to see you. Yes, Vicky, thanks for coming to my screening the other day. I appreciate it. Hey, Joe Frank, what's up, man? Happy Mother's Day. You know, Robert Hogg in Scotland. Get ready. Get your shoes and socks on, kids. It's right around the corner. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. Yeah. Hey, Vinny Doak, what's up? New Jersey checking in with Scott Earth. Silence equals death. Good, dear. I'm glad you liked it, Phil. It was a nice screening. You got to meet my godfather. That was cool. You know. Listen, listen, you know the format here. Why the fuck are you asking questions? We just started the show. Would you put St. Vitus in the same class as New Wave of British? Bro, what are you, smoking dust? The fucking show's just starting. Relax. That's a question for later, bro. What time is it? Fucking 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you're smoking dust? Hello from England. How's the weather in England? I'm just busting your balls, bro. I'm excited about today's show. I'm sorry. I haven't been this excited in a while. A kindred spirit is coming on the show. This is rare, you know? Is that right? Representing Lancaster, Northwest England. Okay. Sure. This one goes out to all my friends in Lancaster. You know? Fuck it. Speaking of Lancaster, what's up with this guy?
Lancaster, what's up?
Speaking of Lancaster, Long Island.
Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers.
Where's usually on Mother's Day? Your mother puts out that.
Oh, the big plate of antipasta. Yeah, no, it's happening.
Do I have an old picture of that somewhere?
Oh, you probably do.
Antipasta. Yeah, no. Why is it antipasta?
Anti, like antisocial.
You're anti. So no, I know I have that picture somewhere. It's somewhere.
Oh yeah, I think every holiday I send you one.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
All right. Handsome motherfucker, huh? Wow. All right. Are you ready for photo of the day?
Yeah.
This is a good one. Photo of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, all around this great old world of ours, by popular demand, photo of the day. Boom. There you go. Photo of the day. Yeah. Now, let's have some fun with it. Let's see. Is it coronary thrombosis? Is it? Come on, we're doing wrong answers only, please.
Ollie.
All right. So great. By the way, I was with this guy last night, and the next time they do this, I'm going.
Oh, you got to come next time. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. It looks like it was a blast, man.
I mean, I
Is it
can't.
Captain Lou? Is it Captain Lou Albano? Good one, Jose. Is it Bruno Sammartino?
Going back.
Yo, listen, bro. Let me tell you something.
Old school.
Bruno Sammartino was my motherfucking favorite. That was my dude, Bruno Sammartino. Hard. There's a Bruno Sammartino documentary out there, by the way. Is it Sumo Bam Martino? Good one. Is it Bam Bam Bigelow? Is it the late, great pig champion squaring off to Phil Anselmo? Giant Haystacks. Haystacks Calhoun was the hardest. Haystacks Calhoun, right?
He put the overalls, right?
Yo, Haystacks Calhoun, and I know our guest. I see our guest nodding his head. He knows. Haystacks Calhoun was like the hardest. He had like a fucking, what was around his neck? He had a horseshoe. That was like what he wore in the ring. He wore a horseshoe around his neck. Yep. Fuzztone says, I've been listening to St. Vitus, Obsessed, Hidden Hand, Place of Skulls, the collaboration with the Melvins. Listen, bro, what the fuck you think I've been listening to? That's all I've been listening to for about 5 days now. You know? Anyway, let's stay on track here.
Yeah.
Hey, Haystack was a legit beast. Yeah, and Gorilla Monsoon, that was another. What? That's a name, bro. Gorilla What should I name myself in the ring? Gorilla Monsoon. Here's another shot. Another shot. Boom. There you go. And another friend of ours is in the photo. This looks very interactive.
Oh, well, Mama Luke made it very interactive.
All right, so tell us what's going on here.
That is our friend Luke Rhoda, the drummer in Wisdom in Chains. He was as much fun as the wrestlers were. I never saw someone so into this, and he had a couple of cocktails, and he was screaming at everyone to the point where that's the ref trying to calm him down, and the wrestler challenging him a number of times. I think one of these days he's going to be Stigma's tag team partner, because he was a riot. Oh my God!
You haven't mentioned what you mentioned. Stigma. Here he is here. So this is Stigma. This is like a wrestling thing with Vinny Stigma.
Notice all the bodies on the ground around them.
You're right. Bodies. Right. Yep.
Vinny Stigma jumping off. I couldn't get him. He jumped off the top rope like he did last time and took out 2 guys at once.
Yo, I saw a clip of one of these guys picking up Stigma and throwing him into the other guy.
Like a missile. Like an Italian missile.
Like you just threw that fucking guinea from Mott Street right into the other guy.
You know what?
Here, take this grease ball. Rah!
He's indestructible. I mean, he's really something. And this was great. By the way, it's called Outlaw Wrestling is the name of the company.
Yeah, it's like underground wrestling, right?
Yeah. In fact, check out this crew we had for him in support.
You know, it's funny. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like six people in this picture that have been on the show.
Yeah.
Starting from the left, Mike DeJean, Craig Satari from Sick of It All in the back.
Yep.
That's Chris from Rikers in the middle in the white shirt. Rikers from the Castle, Germany. There's our friend Sean Sullivan, who works for, in the boxing world. Stigma, Busky with his arm around Stigma, and and there's Luke on the right.
And the gentleman up top,
I can't remember the dude. The dude up top is a commentary. He does commentary for wrestling.
KG.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the guy in the back next to Scully, next to Craig Satari, I know, I can't remember his name.
They
Yep.
Everyone came out to support. It was they do this at the Queen's Brewery, by the way, right on the
Halsey Street. Brewery.
Yeah,
right.
And I was there. I watched them. They clear out the tables. They build the ring. Now, I've never been to a live pro wrestling event.
Oh yeah.
So when you're right on top of it, you see that the mat is not that thick, and it's on these thick pieces of wood. These guys are beating the hell out of each other, and at one point, two big dudes came over the thing, landed on our table. Like it was amazing.
You know what it is? In a certain way, it's like the same way going to like a DIY hardcore show or a DIY metal show. It's fucking people that love it, have a passion. They do it because they love it. Those are the people. That's the real thing. Those are people that are doing it because inherently in their heart they have a love for it, and that's what it's all about, man. All this other stuff is bullshit. That's the true currency we have.
It was so much, and all I could think of is exactly, it was like a hardcore show because these guys, this wasn't Madison Square Garden, but these guys, some of them were unbelievable athletes, like doing somersaults off the ropes, landing on the floor. Like
where in Queens was it? Was it out Ridgewood?
Right on the Ridgewood, Queens. Yeah. Right when you get off the Halsey.
Listen, bro, you can Ridgewood, Queens, Maspeth, Queens. You could have a fucking a mass murder out there, and no one gives a shit.
Oh yeah,
it's probably totally illegal. We used to go to underground Fight Club shit out in Ridgewood, like in a garage, in a fucking auto body place. We used to go to like this Fight Club. It was gnarly, man.
It was so much. I cannot wait to go again. I got to tell you, I really can. Yeah. And it was such a blast. And I rode the subway home with Stigma. And
talk about keeping it real. Talk about keeping it real,
yeah.
Man. That's keeping it real. When you do an event or play a show, because I've been there. This was my life for a long time. And 1 minute, you're in front of the crowd. People are cheering. You're a beloved figure, and like 30 minutes later, you're on the subway like a subhuman hunk of shit.
Yeah,
and like you're seeing the rats, and you're just like, yo, you know what? I tell you what, check this out. It used to bother me, it used to and it used to fuck me up until I learned to embrace it, and then I embraced it. It was like there was an inherent value to fucking being on the subway alone at 1 a.m, a half hour after being on stage at the Limelight in front of 200 people.
It paints the full picture. I mean, it
builds character.
I hate to say that it's better to be inside the train car though, because Friday, yet another kid, the 7 train in front of mine was delayed because some subway surfer fell off the top of the train.
That's a big thing now. Kids are subway surfing, man.
Yeah, because of TikTok and because these kids want to film each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Outlaw Wrestling. Those guys were great. They're super nice people. I met a bunch of them, and I cannot wait to go back. We definitely got to go back and support the troops, and you'll be a riot.
Shouting out Wendy Harris, Queens girl living down in Boca Schmoka, as my dad would say. Too normal. Yeah, I'm down there a lot these days because my dad's down there. So, yeah. Listen, don't get caught up in all the nostalgia, Wendy. You're in the right place. New York is about to be overthrown. So, with what's going on here, it's getting a little crazy. So anyway, happy Mother's Day. And
to you as well, your mom, to Mom Stone.
Yeah, thank you for being a part of everything. Anybody you want to shout out?
You know what? I shouted out the wrestling guys. I actually want to shout out the non-residents, because Vinny was saying that he wants to try to get them involved in wrestling. How nuts will that be?
That one dude in the non-residents is like 350 pounds, like 6'5".
Roberto.
Yeah, Roberto.
The drummer.
You know what they should do? You know what? I'll manage him. They should put one of those Mil Mascaras masks on him, and he should be that dude.
You could be you could be like the good manager, like they're causing all the trouble in the crowd. That'd be great. This is our next step.
This is it. I have to find some talent.
You know what? I think you found it. I think that's it right there. But anyway, I'm very excited to see Wino. This is going to be yet another awesome show where we get a chance to sit with real legends. So this is going to be great.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good Sunday, and I'll talk to you this week.
You got it.
That's right. This is the one, the only, often imitated, never duplicated. Count your change and clank your chains. The New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. And we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics. Hold on. New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, The Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, and your friends and mine, Upstate Records. They're a New York-based DIY independent metal and hardcore label founded in the year of our Lord 2017. They broke into the scene with their inaugural 26-band compilation in 2018, and since then have churned out over 80 releases in their brief 5-year history. Look for new releases by Mark Rizzo's new band Revenge Beast, Carl from Earth Crisis's Freya, which, by the way, we're going to get Carl from Earth Crisis back on the show. I saw Kim and Mario at the Black and Blue Bowl last night, and we got to get Carl back on the show. Fury of 5, Angry Corpses, and a few more surprises that are in the works. Check them out at www.upstaterecordsnewyork.com and use the code STONE10, you cheap fucks, for 10% off. Come on now. Speaking of Vinny Stigma, Vinny Stigma's cousin Joe Ramini, the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. Goddamn electric. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as the style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rowley, Ringo Starr, and of course, my friends and yours, Agnostic Front. Information on online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.texassilverrush.com. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guest on. Let's make sure nobody's killing each other in the chat room. Don, listen, it took 2 years to get Don Fury on the show. Yeah, yeah, for sure. We'll get Carl back on. That said, everything seems to be okay. Here we go. Clear the deck. All right. Today's guest is an American singer and guitarist hailing from Rockville, Maryland. He has been highly influential in helping develop and codify doom metal's trademark sound, and is also considered an influential figure in the stoner and punk rock genres. He's known for his work as a solo artist, as well as with the bands Shrine Builder, Probot, Premonition 13, Place of Skulls, Spirit Caravan, St. Vitus, and of course, The Obsessed. Here today to celebrate the release of the documentary film Wino, the documentary, please welcome, coming at us from the Catskills in upstate New York, one of the last true American outlaws, Wino. Brother!
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you're here too, man.
Yeah.
You got a kick out of that wrestling shit, huh?
Dude, I got a kick out of that shit because, I've met Stigma a couple times and had some agnostic stories. Great. Good shit.
I mean, we're the same age, so you remember that shit in the 70s, the Bruno Sammartinos and all that shit.
Hey, that was my guy.
Yeah.
The shackles, you take off the broken shackles before you get ready to wrestle. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was wearing a fucking a horseshoe around his neck.
Yeah. No shit, right?
Yeah. How are you, man?
I'm doing really good, man. Really good. Feeling great. Everything's beautiful up here right now.
Good. We talked a little bit beforehand. You're in one of my favorite parts of the country. You're in upstate New York, the Catskills, beautiful region. I love it up there, man.
when I came up here, when I first came up here, I had that feeling that I've been here before. You know,
Yeah.
totally love it up here. I mean,
I
our
mean,
neighbors are pretty close, but I mean, they're not that close. I mean, we can still get away with doing stuff. You know.
yeah, the winters can be rough a little bit,
Yeah,
but but the summers, the spring and the falls are beautiful,
to
man.
make it all worth it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the winters, you kind of got. I learned 10 stitches forehead. I learned about the ice.
Yeah.
Motorcycle boots on the ice.
What do you do? I guess that motorcycle's got to kind of sit in the garage for a couple months, huh?
It's got its own room inside, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make a big difference when I look at it. I was like, man, I'm glad it's got its own little room inside the house. Sit out.
I'm not parking it outside, right?
Well, why? It's got its own room inside. I
Yeah,
made it so that basically we've got a wraparound porch, so I can come right up the driveway, onto the porch from a ramp, right around the porch, around the house, right into the room. And then as soon as I get some trees out of the way, I'm gonna have another emergency egress where I can go down because my driveway is kind of fucked. So,
When I lived in Queens, I had a Harley, and I used to, and I lived in like a kind of sketchy neighborhood. I used to pull it into the front door and just jam it into the like the vestibule of my building, because there was no way I was leaving that in the street of New York.
Yeah. I mean, there especially. I mean, it's pretty safe up here as a rule. Like, I've never had any problems, man. It's like it's a really nice looking bike.
Yeah, right.
It's one of the, it's like one of the few things that I have that's really worth a lot to me. Yeah.
We all have one or two of those. It's like
guitars, bike.
Yeah, right. Hey, so let's get into it a little bit.
All right.
How did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? Like, how did music come into your life?
Actually, no. Neither one of my parents was musical. Man, I felt like I was hardwired from birth. I don't know what that is, but I felt like I was hardwired from birth to play rock. And I really had a couple experiences when I was younger. Like, I remember when I was really young, I might have been driving back from swimming class or some shit like this, where somebody was driving. I think my mom might have been driving. It's a station wagon, and we lived in Texas. We're driving through this neighborhood. This rock band, a garage band, had pulled the garage door up, and we're like kind of just play into the neighborhood, And that's one of the things that really hit me hard. I was like, I don't know. I've just had that feeling my whole life, And then I saw Sabbath in '73.
What was the music? What music was in the air when you were growing up in Texas? Was it radio?
There was an AM radio station after we moved from Texas, because I was like 6 in Texas. After we moved to Maryland, there was 8, and there was an AM radio station that would play like wild shit. Like, I remember hearing Blood Rock DOA sitting on the school box, piping through, But there was a couple really cool stations that kind of influenced me. Like, believe it or not, Loyola, which is a Jesuit school, had the coolest nighttime station ever, WGTV. That's where I heard Rocky Erickson, all kinds of cool stuff. That was great. And there's another guy like did an AM station, AM radio station called. His name was Barry Richards, and he was influential like hell. Like, he kind of followed the trends, but my very first concert was the James Gang. Joe Walsh just left, but it was the day that Pigpen McKernan from Grateful Dead died. Because I remember.
Come on now.
I swear to God. Yeah.
I'm
lucky because I'm lucky because I'm 62. So my first couple concerts were pretty phenomenal, man.
Right there on my acoustic. Pigpen says it's okay.
Yeah, dude. And the thing, I'll never forget that. We had a moment of silence. Barry Richards came out, the local MC, and he said, moment of silence, Pigpen, and he's like, here to kick ass and take names, the James Gang. But Joe Walsh had left. But it was Dominic Toronto, it was the record Straight Shooter.
Sure.
So, being my first concert, and it was in the Round, Shady Grove in the Round. So the stage turned real slow,
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. So my second concert was Black Sabbath. The support band was Edgar Winter's White Trash with Rick Danger.
Wow.
The third show was Alice Cooper on the Killer Tour.
Wow.
Mitch Ryder, Detroit Wino supported that. And my fourth show was Lucia Cole, supported by Nazareth on the Rasmus Nash Tour. So it's like,
wow.
I feel really lucky,
Yeah. Now, I saw the doc, so I'm going to reference a couple of things. I did a lot of homework, but is it true you took your first hit of acid when you saw Black Sabbath at age 12?
I took my first hit of acid at 12, but it wasn't the night that I saw Sabbath though.
Woo!
But I will tell you, I mean, I did see a band that night that greatly influenced me, man. It's like, yeah, it was pretty crazy because, okay, I still had the bowl haircut, right?
Right.
The chick that I had a crush on was like hanging with all the older. What it was like a kid from my school, my age. His older sister was having a party. So he invited a couple of his friends from the basketball team. So basically, bowl haircut. The chick I had a big crush on was hanging with all the older kids in the kitchen, drinking beer and smoking weed. And so like I wanted to do that too, but like I was like, get out of here, little boy, type shit. So I took my hit of acid and sat in the corner, and then all of a sudden, here comes the band. Yeah, badass. I mean, I'm glad that happened because I got to see this band and it changed my life pretty much. I mean, all these a succession of things that were instrumental in making me who I am.
I have to say, I've never said this on the show before, is that taking psychedelics at a very young age really, really turned me on to a lot of great music. And taking psychedelics at any age is can be a little dangerous. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Sure. But I tell you what, it was for me, and I did a lot of it as a young teenager, and I saw a lot of music on a lot of psychedelics, and I really
it opens you up. It does open you up.
Yeah,
I mean, it also made me, like I said in the doc, it also made me kind of realize the futility of life in a way, and
right on.
It's kind of if you take it, the first couple times you take it, I think is where you get a lot of insight. Sure. You take it recreationally, like some people just take acid, ride the subway all night long, drink beer, whatever. Okay, it's fun, but the really deep inspiration, I think, or you get from your first couple trips, when you've never done it, and you kind of. My thing with acid was I had it for a long time before I took it. Because I'd always read that, some people never come back,
Yeah, right.
So, maybe, did we? I don't know. Maybe we're just in another dimension. I don't know.
Maybe you and I maybe this is we're in the alternate universe, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man. It's like you're the ringleader, buddy.
Yeah. So, doing my homework, I checked out a couple other interviews, but you said your early influences, the Monkees, the Beatles, later Frank Zappa, Jimi Hendrix, Black Sabbath.
Yeah, Johnny Winter, Frank Marino.
Oh, come on now, Frank Marino. Now we're talking.
Because I'm really into, like, since I play the guitar, I was always more into a little bit of the guitar-driven bands. You know what I mean? And
let me just say, Frank Marino is a guy that you don't hear that name very often, and people. He's sort of been lost in the shifting sands of time. Yeah. Frank Marino was fucking great in the 70s.
Yeah,
Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush.
Mahogany Rush, yeah. And his story is really amazing. He claims, I read somewhere that he took a heavy acid trip, and when he came out of it, there was something about that he felt like he had been possessed by the spirit of Hendrix or some shit.
Yeah. Yes, I heard that. I heard that.
He's also a race car guy. Like he dropped an engine block on his hand or something. Couldn't play for a little while, but
right. Yeah. He's what. Also, another one's Robin Trower, who Robin Trower sort of has is channeling some Hendrix too, man.
Yeah, man. Trower's amazing. I saw Trower when I was pretty young. And it's some really good stuff, man.
Yeah, Bridge of Sighs.
Yeah.
Yeah, any Frank Zappa stuff you could lay on us?
Yeah, I can. I can. I got a chance to see the Don't Eat the Yellow Snow band. Band with Ruth Underwood. Napoleon Murphy Brock.
Yep.
I don't think he was in the band yet. The second singer guy. But George Duke.
Sure.
George Duke. They basically in Maryland at the Capitol Center. I went down to see Zappa. I feel completely lucky to have seen Zappa, man. It's like because I was really into my favorite guitar solos are like Montana, Zombie Wolf, off Overnight Sensation.
Sure.
And when Apostrophe came out.
That's a great record, man. That record is so great.
That record you're on Blue Microdon. Great record. Good shit.
I'm a big Zappa guy. Apostrophe, Overnight Sensation.
Yeah.
You know, some
Guitar.
yeah.
Just that record guitar, not
Yeah, no, not shut up and play your guitar, but guitar.
Because you know he wrote those songs. He put the songs together from tapes of his solos, and he would meld his solos together from different shows and make those songs.
That's
that's
right.
amazing. You know, Zappa was like is one of the biggest influence on me, but also like a great mind. I mean, seeing him and the PMRC. Him and Biafra and
what's his name from Twisted Sister, D. Snyder.
Fucking incredible. When they shot down PMRC, that was amazing.
I miss Frank, man. You know, nobody stepped in to take his place, really. You know, he was a really unique artist. You know, I saw him probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 times. I saw him at the Palladium here in New York. I saw him a bunch of places. I loved Zappa. You know, he didn't tour that much. That was the thing. You know, he went out like every 4 years he'd go out, you know?
Yeah. The last book that came out that I read on him, it wasn't his book, but it was another buddy had written a book on him. It's kind of a tome. But it describes you know, his wife was saying like to get a tour together or even to get the Roxy show together, that Roxy
sure.
It was really hard because there's so many people and so much involved in it. And like, you know, the music is so intense, you know, like, you know, the whole thing, he charged people $5 if they played the wrong note type shit. You know? I mean, he surrounded himself with amazing musicians. And I think that, you know, some of the stories are incredible. You know, like George Duke never wanted to play synthesizer, but Zappa had the vision already. And then one day Duke came in to his piano and there was a brand new synth sitting there that Frank had bought, put there. You know, I can't remember the name of that book, but it's really well worth reading if you're a Zappa fan.
There's also a Zappa doc that came out recently, the one that Alex Winter directed. I think it's called like "Who the Fuck is Frank Zappa" or something like that. It's pretty good because it's done with the consent of the Zappa family. So there's a lot of great shit. There's a lot of great shit in it.
Well, I know that he sold his entire catalog, I guess, to Ryko Disc, right? Was that?
Yeah, he did that. Yeah.
To set up his family, you know, after he was gone.
Thomas says saw Steve Vai live 2 weeks ago. He was channeling Frank at one point. There is a great, for anybody out there, there's a great clip on YouTube of Steve Vai talking about the audition process to get in Zappa's band. And he tells this great story about he goes to the audition, Zappa has him play it this way, plays it that way, this time signature, that time signature, puts him through the ringer. Then he asks him to do it like with a fifth missing or whatever. And Vai said, it can't be done. You just can't do it. And Zappa says to him, well, I hear Linda Ronstadt's looking for a guitar player.
You know, I mean, only Vai could do that shit anyways. You know, so that's crazy. You know, I'll tell you Vai's story. His tech thinks he's an alien. You know? His tech said that he wastes no energy. You know, no energy is wasted on anything.
I can see that.
An alien. You know?
He's an interesting character, man. Steve Vai.
Never met him, but talk to his tech.
Also, so what inspired you? I mean, you picked up the guitar, and what was the what were the first things, and why guitar? Why did you pick up guitar?
Man, you know, it's a mystery to me, but I just felt like I was hardwired to play rock music. I really did. So, you know, in the early days, I used to draw little pictures of electric guitars and leave them laying around as kind of a hint to, you know, my parents or whatever. But eventually, once I heard Sabbath, basically my big dilemma was whether I was going to buy Paranoid or Are You Experienced. That was a really hard choice, you know. I went with Sabbath, but, you know, Hendrix. But then I got turned on to Mahavishnu Orchestra, John McLaughlin. You know, it was a spiritual thing, man. You know, the electric guitar to me was like seemed to me like an avenue to go other places, you know.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I saved up some dough, bought my first SG, and while I was in the store buying the guitar, there's this older cat, bass player, looked just like Johnny Winter, jamming on this P bass, you know. And so I'm having this big dilemma whether I'm going to buy the Strat or the SG, but I wanted the Strat because I only play a Strat, you know. I think you could get a heavier sound out of the Gibson. And this cat was trying to talk me into buying the Fender, you know. And man, I'm glad I didn't. I bought the SG.
Yeah, I can't imagine if things would have went, if you would have zigged instead of zagged and went with the Strat instead of the SG. I can't imagine.
But I'll tell you, I still didn't know how to get a sound out of the SG. But once I figured out to lose the spring out of that Bigsby, which I hate, and then pry the pickup covers off the pickups.
Yeah.
Then that started to open some doors. I mean, it took a little while.
It took a minute. So how did your first bands come together? How did things get going? And I know the Obsessed kind of started up. You were pretty young. How did all that come together?
Well, the reason when I started playing guitar at first, like I had this neighbor, this lady. She was about 7 years my senior, and she played folk rock but amazing. Like she had this Martin 12-string, and she could sit down and figure out like all these weird Joni Mitchell tunings. And she turned me on to a lot of stuff. She turned me on to Allman Brothers, and of course the slide. But I was also taking lessons, and basically my teacher realized that I wasn't really, I don't know, cookie cutter type stuff. Wasn't into that.
Were you taking guitar lessons though?
Yeah, I was, but basically it was a half an hour. So 15 minutes we would do the book, and then 15 minutes we would jam.
Yeah.
He's the guy who showed me pull hammer-ons and pull-offs. And so I developed my whole style of like I'm a workhorse with my left hand. Like double picking and stuff like that came later, but all these folks were really influential. My neighbor with the folk thing, she turned me on to the Allman Brothers, and I really got into. Then I started really getting into the slide stuff. I was already into Johnny Winter. I mean,
talk about slide stuff.
When punk rock hit though, see, we were already into the Stooges. We were already into the MC5 and the Stooges, and then of course when Bollocks dropped, I mean that was a whole new world. And then of course the Bad Brains were from my neck of the woods.
Right.
When they were a prog band,
Sure.
They were a prog band. When they
what were they called? I think they were called Mind Force or something. They were called. They had it at first.
I can't remember. But I know that people that knew them said, they never mowed their lawn. They lived in PG County. They never mowed their lawn. But that band really kicked in some doors, and I was lucky to get a chance to support them around the Roar Tape era. And I just remember walking into the club for their sound check. We were loading in and like literally being pinned to the fucking pole that was in the old 930 club. Sure. Literally pinned to that pole by the energy of that band. I mean, it was fucking ferocious, man.
I was there, bro. I saw it. It was amazing. I saw it. That was one of the bands, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but that was one of the bands that we would go see no matter what. We would get in the car and drive fucking 10 hours. Like there was a couple of them. It was Minor Threat, there was Bad Brains, and Black Flag. Those are the bands that we're going. Let's go. We got. You just felt like if we don't go, it might not be here tomorrow.
That's right. I mean, it really it's an urgency. There's an urgency to that stuff. And, being from DC, like I got a chance to see the Void, the Faith, all that too. But you got to remember, like the DC was the straight edge scene. California was like the Vandals and the whole not straight edge scene. So it was kind of interesting to see the dynamic. So
was the Obsessed together at this point when you started going to like Minor Threat shows? So how did the Obsessed come together?
Okay, well, I was at the pool, right? And there's this older guy that I kind of knew of. He lived a couple streets over, and he came up to me and said, "I heard you got an electric guitar." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, so do I." I said, "That's cool." I said, "So what kind of stuff are you into?" And he said, "Well, I really like Black Sabbath. I really like Grand Funk Railroad." And that was it. That was it. And so he was actually a little bit older than me, so he was my mentor. He already knew that if you looked at an amplifier that had a master volume, that you could you dime the inputs and get your grind. So basically learned a lot from him. I learned about impedance. I learned about, low end. He was the first guy to be like, a folded horn. I saw him in Vegas, folded horn, because he was actually ahead of his time too. So, the only thing about him was, he was a little bit of a kind of a hypochondriac, and I don't know, man, he wasn't really, I don't think that he was really like one of us really as much as So down the line, shit got weird, but we were together for a long time, and that was the start of the Obsessed. I can't really remember. One day we were just walking somewhere. We're like trying to find a name for the band, But he's also the guy. Okay, so we had another guitar player in the band, and this other guitar player we had in the band for a minute. turned me on to jazz, like hardcore jazz. Yeah, that's the band. This is the band I'm talking about right now. Okay, so John Reese was the other guitar player. He turned me on to Bird, Charlie Parker, that type of shit, you know. And but you know, he was another kind of guy. He was a beatnik kind of guy. He could never come out of his solos on time and was always out of tune. And so we still got a 3-piece, you know, but we needed a singer. And so we decided we'd go to the local guitar store and put an ad out. So our ad was like looking for a singer, somebody like Iggy, Ozzy, maybe a little Morrison. And the guy goes, I know just the guy. He gave me his phone number. So I went down and saw this guy, and we had him in the band for a little while. And in the doc, you see the guy was on my back. Singer jumps on my back.
Yes.
Yeah, that was Vance. So that was kind of like our more, well, punk rock, more kind of a rowdy thing. You know, I remember like I pitched us to this club owner, man, this motorcycle club member who was running this club in Georgetown, DC. He said, "Okay, I'll give you a shot. You got to play 3 sets, 3 45-minute sets." So that was pretty hard. So we would have to do covers and then our originals, and like we were doing like Dead Boys, Caught with the Meat in Your Mouth, you know, all kinds of crazy shit. But then we were still playing obsessed shit like Decimation or Neath Brigade, right? So I remember that's when I met. That's when I met Henry. He was still in SOA.
Wow.
And, you know, he always tells this story. Henry has this rap when he does his spoken word about meeting me. And it's funny because
I got a clip.
The thuggier and thuggier he paints me to be, because it wasn't really like that, you know.
I have the clip. You want? Let's look at the clip. It's like a 3-minute clip with some of our DC friends. Let's give it a quick look, and then I think it's like 3 minutes.
Joe and I, when we first met, we first started talking. That was really the basis of our first conversation. Was just what an epic, important, incredible band The Obsessed were, and just how much we loved them. Yeah, we worshipped them, you know. And when we first started playing, it was just like, well, let's see if we can write a bunch of songs like The Obsessed or something. I don't really think of The Obsessed as a crossover band so much. I don't think The Obsessed is anything except The Obsessed. They like occupy their own space in the musical world, because no one does what they do. No one does what Wino does. It's just his thing, you know, straight up. No one else can match it for me. And I hear other bands that have sort of similar styles, or other bands that kind of profess to be really like, you know, kind of have this real hard edge or real kind of heavy vibe to whatever, but it always just smacks of sort of falseness. And in fact, like Wino's one of the few people I know that I feel like the guy is 100%. He's like the real thing.
The first time I ever encountered Wino was in the early 80s. I just got off work at Haagen-Dazs, closed the store, walked out. I had no hair. And this is back in the days where, like, if you had no hair and someone had long hair, it meant friction. So anyway, I see this like tough-looking long-haired guy across the street, and I gotta go across the street too. I'm like, oh well, here comes some kind of confrontation, you know? So I go across the street, and I'm trying to walk by this guy, and he just goes like, hey! I'm like, no, here we go. And I look over, I go, yeah. And he's looking at these buttons I have on my jacket. And I think I had like a Motorhead button on my jacket, and so did he. He went, hey, Motorhead. And I went, all right, yeah, cool, Ace of Spades, all right, you know, don't kill me. And then I think he saw a button I had from a band I was in. He's like, hey, I hand painted it. And he went, oh man, those guys are cool. I said, I am those guys, you know, I'm in that band. He went, oh, cool, so we made friends. And he said, I'm in The Obsessed, man, be looking for us. I said, okay, man.
I remember in the early days, like, there was like the punk rock scene in Washington. There was this band called the Bad Brains that we all worshipped, right? And they were like the punk band. And then one night the Bad Brains played this band called The Obsessed, which to our punk aesthetic sounded a lot like a dumb heavy metal band. What struck me was like this huge crowd of followers that they had. And they had all these kids who were like just down with The Obsessed. It was really a lot of friction. And actually for a number of shows after that, we would get into fights with these kids or kind of run into some problems with each other. But then one day I remember talking to Wino, ran into him, and we were just talking, and he said, you know, I fucking love The Faith. And The Faith were like this really great punk band from Washington. And it suddenly occurred to me that this guy was kind of just like just another kid like from the area, but like So, and we were all sort of like I don't know, we just got to talking, and he was really a big fan of all the punk bands.
I remember Ian, I was in Black Flag, and Ian from Fugazi would be telling me stories like, yeah, I saw The Obsessed, and man, that guy, Scott Wino, man, he punched out this guy, and some guy was picking on some punk rocker, and he beat him up, and he's like hanging out with all of us, and he's this cool guy, but he's like really intense.
Great shit. I thought that stuff was so great that it was worth just putting up and letting everybody see it, because it's really right out of their mouths, like their relationship with you guys, with you, and really interesting that you guys were so sort of you were so enmeshed in that whole DC hardcore thing.
Because I love that music, dude. That music spoke to me. I mean, I love the energy. I love, it was new. It was like fuck society. That's what it's all about. It was like, we do what we want, but that's my creed to this day, And the cool thing about Henry, about that meeting was that's true. It's like what had happened was I got so loaded the night before I lost my van. So that night Henry's talking about, I was walking around Georgetown trying to figure out where I left my van, right? And so I saw him. It's totally true, but I think that maybe he had a Black Flag button. Is what it was. And I went Black Flag, cool. And he went Motorhead, cool. That's what it was, because he wasn't in Flag yet. He was. Still
yeah. Is this photo here? This is pretty early on, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's like after that's pretty early. Yeah.
This looks like some 3-piece here,
Yeah. It's like Eddie looks like he's Village People. Like, hey, I went through a phase where I had a kind of a funky haircut. I will say that.
Listen, it was 1983, 83 for Christ's sake. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, LaRouche asked, did you get your van back?
I found it that night. I did find it. Yeah.
I've done that too, man. I lost my van in New York once. I forgot where I put it. Here's another 1982 Obsessed sort of photo, from kind of that era.
This is the cover of a record. This is the cover of our first record. And that little where we're standing is I found this weird little place out in the woods. It was like some kind of like old poured. I don't know if it was a pool. I don't know what it was, but we used to go back there and shoot guns. And I found this place, and so I decided to build the record cover around it.
Daniel Nace says the Obsessed, Bad Brains, and Black Market Baby were the heroes of DC punk. That's cool.
Right on.
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely had to prove ourselves. I mean, for sure. Like, I'd go to some of these shows and be like, "Fuck you, Eddie Van Halen," but we would be like, "Fuck you." But we were always ready to fight. We knew the potential was there, but I was there to see the music. If somebody fucked with us, then that was secondary. But I was there to see the music, and I must say, I was really glad. I really feel lucky and grateful to have been able to be there then.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to see. I mean, Minor Threat the first go round, and of course, Bad Brains we talked about, and I mean, I'm assuming a lot of that
was my ally. Like Tesco V was my ally. He
really. So you know what? That ties into this. Funny you should bring that up. I like when this happens. Here's a. Let me clear the deck here. I happen to find this. Hold on, let me just clear this shit up.
Is it Tesco's review of our record by any chance?
No, better yet, you playing with Tesco up in New York at the Rock Hotel.
Yes, sir. I remember that show. Man. Lyle Preslar and Brian Baker were both in his band at the time.
Right.
Yeah. And everybody got ripped off. I mean, everybody got shorted their dough, And Brent Danzig was a promoter, okay?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I remember that I thanked him, and because I thanked him, Brian Baker was like, kind of, I better not get into that too much.
But so this is at the original Rock Hotel on Jane Street, which is kind of like a storied venue. I played my first show with Antidote when I joined Antidote there, and the inside of the Bad Brains. What's that shot in that Bad Brains record? HR jumping off the stage was from there. Is that what record? I forgot. It'll come.
What are you talking about? Which Bad Brains?
What Bad Brains record is that with the inside sleeve of Rock Hotel where HR's jumping into the crowd? I forgot the name of the record. Not Rock for Light.
I guess I.
Yeah. I think that's it. So any memories? So Obsessed is rolling. We're kind of ahead of ourselves, but any memories of like New York? Was New York a special place for you guys?
Yeah, New York was phenomenal. I mean, I used to go to Trash and Vaudeville to buy clothes,
Sure.
And I always like looking good, at the shows and stuff. So that's where I would go to buy clothes. I mean, the dudes in Trash and Vaudeville would be smoking weed right in the store way back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jimmy Webb was his name. The guy was Jimmy Webb. It was his name. Yeah.
Oh, I know Jimmy. I remember Jimmy Webb. He passed recently.
That's right.
Yeah, because I'm really good friends with the Gotha.
Oh, well.
The Gotha made clothes for people.
So Alex Mitchell from Circus of Power posted.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Met Wino with a Gotha. Shot the video where he's walking. Shot the video where he's walking on the trail. Home base was my house. 13 years ago.
Yep, that's right. I did a little video. We did a little video for this thing, acoustic thing I did somewhere nowhere. That's right. And Gotha took us over to his house, and great guy. Yeah. So hey man.
Yeah.
Circus of Power, man. It's like
one of my favorites, man.
What a great band. I mean, what a great vibe. I mean, it's like
I love that band.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a real New York Lower East Side kind of band. I love that band. Alex Mitchell was a big supporter of the show. Yeah.
He had a nickname Chud King, I guess, because they called like gear.
Yeah, that's Ricky Mahler. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still speak to him. Yeah.
Yeah. So
is that right? Agatha's from Stamford, Connecticut. Oh, okay, didn't know that. And yes, Courtney, Jimmy Webb passed a couple of years ago, sadly. So that's said. So yeah, New York. New York. Did you guys play CBGBs early on?
We did. We played CBGBs a little bit later on with Spare Caravan. We played a couple festivals. It was like Buzz Oven, I Hate God, Crowbar. Yeah. That was right around the Crowbar lineup when Sammy Satan was in Crowbar when they did was Oddfellows.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like, I mean, when I saw Crowbar at CBGBs when we played with them with Sammy Satan in the band, the second guitar, dude, I told Sherman, I said, these dudes are heavier than fucking Sabbath.
Yeah.
I know that might have seemed blasphemous, but it was the truth. I mean,
early Crowbar was heavy as fuck.
Yeah. Well, right around that time, they still are. But when Sammy was in the band from Goat Whore, right around Oddfellows, that record.
Yeah.
But Buzz Oven. I remember there's a little bit of drama when the singer for I Hate God got kicked off the tour. So Kirk Buzz Oven sat in. I mean, it was awesome, man. I mean, it's like those were again. I was so lucky to be there. Yeah.
So Obsessed gets up and running, and it's sort of been my perception that Obsessed kind of got rolling, kind of did the rounds, didn't really get their fair shake, and you kind of, which I can relate to, it was a little disheartening that you were a little winded, and given the opportunity, you kind of broke off and joined St. Vitus, to righteously later kind of circle back and resurrect the Obsessed.
Right. I mean, all I wanted to do is play, and I wanted to, play out. I wanted to play, I wanted to tour, and the Obsessed was just spinning our wheels. And I remember that St. Vitus, the way that I joined St. Vitus is they came through town, and what happened? They were supposed to play at DC Space. They were touring with Amory's band, The Brood. Amory was the drummer for Suicidal.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
No, Avery was a guitar player. Was he? Okay, Avery Smith.
Amory.
Well,
Right.
I'm not sure. I've got me on that one, but someone
from Suicidal. I mean, definitely was a Suicidal guy. Anyways, that band was the offshoot of that, and then Vitus was touring with them, and the singer for Vitus was in Roanoke, and this is in the days of no cell phones, right? Mm-hmm. So Vitus had the rig set up where the equipment was in the back, in the bottom of the van. They had this tiny little loft up top where two people could just lay down.
Yeah, Amory Smith.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brood, right? Drummer.
Yes. I looked it up. Yeah. Mhm.
Right. Okay. So
Yep.
they were booked. So anyway, so on the way to the gig, the singer for Vitus got out of the van in the middle of the night to pee. Well, nobody knew he was gone. So they kept on going and left him in Roanoke. This is this long ass.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a nightmare.
It was a nightmare, but they missed the show. Okay. So, but they showed up anyways late, and they stayed with a friend of mine, and a friend of mine played them The Obsessed. Okay. So the singer knew he was going to leave. So having heard that, when they came back through town for the makeup show, I went down there, and he asked me, "Hey, will you replace me?" And because we really thought you sounded a lot like Ozzy, blah blah. So at the time, I still had my haircut, and the guitar player for Vitus, David, he said, "Nah, he thought I looked like a, you know what?" So the word, disrespectful word. So, but I told him, I said, "It's only a phase, man," because I really was into. Ian Mackay is the first person who told me about Vitus. He said, "Man, that band is really right up your alley." So later on, when I got a chance to join them, and I did, I really didn't take no for an answer. I mean, David never said, "Yeah, you can join the band." I just said, "I'm joining your fucking band," and I moved out to LA.
You would not be denied.
I wouldn't be denied, and I was determined. And I brought my strobe tuner out because I got those dudes. I realized that if I tuned my shit down a half step, it was in my range, right?
Right.
But they were still playing to standard, so I took my strobe tuner out there, put a piece of tape on it, and gave them the little coordinates so they could do it. And I said, "Please, just do me a favor and try tuning down a half step."
Right.
Once they did that, it was all in focus, and it was on. We used to rehearse in this little ass shed, and man, we filled it up with beer cans, like knee deep in beer cans, and like we would rehearse 6 days a week, and we were a well-oiled machine, And
now Vitus was one thing that was always interesting to me about St. Vitus is they were on SST Records, which was Greg Ginn from Black Flag's label.
And that's why that we were able to get on some of these punk bands. We'd always get the call, "Hey man, so and so dropped off. Can you warm up Agnostic Front at the bottom of the hill in Frisco?" Yeah, I'll tell you a story about that show. I mean, so we were kind of like always that band, filling in.
Yeah.
And we were hated, absolutely hated by the punks in those days. I mean, we played that show. We got that call, and we supported Agnostic Front in Frisco in the day, right? Okay. Ooh. And I just remember that some dude came right in front of me. I was just singing now. Came up right in front, was just like a foot away. "Fuck you, you suck." With that really puts you through some changes. What are you gonna do, right? Are you gonna back down like a little pussy, or are you gonna fucking stay right back? I did what I could, and I must say, after the show, me and the drummer was kind of big. We went around looking for the guy, but bottom line is, there was definitely some animosity happening. Because
what they say, right? It builds character. Any recollections of this?
Yeah, that was the first record that I was on.
Yeah.
And I think this is really a seminal record, really for rock. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, David wrote the words, but I could identify with the songs totally, like "Dying Inside," "Born Too Late." I mean, and we walk the walk. I mean, we don't sing songs. We wouldn't sing songs about that kind of shit if we didn't know what we were talking about. And Michael Lardy from Great White produced the record. He actually engineered it, and then Carducci from SST was the producer. So it was like, but man, I'll tell you what, those two dudes between Lardy and Joe Carducci, they grabbed it, man. They got it. They got it.
This is one of those records, like you want to say it's aged well. It's like this is a record that still sounds like, and not to compare it to Black Sabbath, but the Black Sabbath records are timeless. In a way, this record is timeless. It still sounds really great.
Thank you. I mean, production was always my thing. So when I joined the band, like I would always push for the nicer studio, or I would always be like, "Look, we got to really produce the bass, whatever it might be." I mean, I'm just into low end a lot. That's like why I liked SFT Control and Discharge, because they had some ass, on their sound.
Yeah. Absolutely. Dan asks, Wino, what's the story about seeing a flock of ducks or geese flying in a V and you joining St. Vitus? What's that about?
Well, what that was is like, like I said, I was kind of like, David had never given me his okay to join,
Right.
And I kept calling him saying, "Hey man, I'm growing my hair." That was only a phase anyways, And so one of these nights when I was still in Maryland, I saw the flock of geese in the V.
Right.
That was like, another impetus, another sign from above that I just could not take no for an answer.
Yeah, right. You know what? Yeah. Another sign. Another psychedelic induced sign.
Right. And I remember, like, okay, when I was flying in for the audition, I'd already fucking left everything behind, had all my life savings. I remember, like, getting ready to land in LA, and it was at night, and just seeing, like, it was just a grid as far as you could see. And I thought to myself, man, I'm going to be one tiny little fucking grain of sand down there. But here's the deal. When I joined Vitus, I knew we were going to struggle. I joined Vitus because of the music. I knew we weren't going to be commercial success. Right. I joined Vitus because I wanted to play that kind of music, and I wanted to get out there and kick some doors in, and, and we continue to struggle.
Yeah. I mean, that was a pretty prolific run between Born Too Late. I like the Thirsty and Miserable EP, Mournful Cries, V. I mean, and the live. I mean, you guys. I guess back then, I don't want to say people. I don't want to say bands were more proficient back then, but it seemed like a year, a month felt like a year back then, right? I mean, so.
But we were driven. We were really driven. I mean, everybody was really fucking driven, and those dudes have been doing it. Doing Vitus in one incarnation or another for a long time, and they had never seen any kind of real love or anything like that. They were still just totally diehard about doing it. I mean, the way we traveled and everything, but we were, our first big tour was with mentors. I was the youngest one in the band, believe it or not. And they called me the road virgin. Okay. The road virgin is going to have to do this or that, to prove himself on the road. And that tour was with mentors, right? Wow. Yeah. They were on Metal Blade, I think. Yeah. You asked for it, right? Dude, that tour was something else because Vitus, we were a well-oiled machine. The mentors, they were, as soon as they would get paid, they would fight over the money, and they wouldn't even think about the next day, gas for the next show, whatever. It was insane. I never seen anything like it. But Eldon was, Duce was a real intellectual. I mean, a lot of people don't know how smart he was, but man, I learned a lot from him, man.
I never crossed paths with him, but
and it's tricky. What happened was that they were running wild the whole tour, and when they got down to Florida, Sicky got into some powders or something and actually disappeared. So they're like, Wino, can you? Danky from Worm, right? Uh-huh. He was playing bass,
which was another SST band, right?
Yeah. So they said, Danky's gonna play guitar. Can you play bass? I was like, what? So they're like, basically, I was like, I put my gloves on so nobody could see my hand tattoos. I put my hood on, of course. I changed everything so no one knew who I was, And then my name was Sir Lord Cunnilingus. So I took my tongue out of my hood, and basically it was a crash course. I learned, Peep Tom, Golden Showers, White Trash Woman. I mean, for 2 shows, I was a bass player for the Mentors, and one of those shows was in Des Moines, Iowa. And the promoter was this young kid, and I'll get to this in a second, to the punchline. So we get there, and he's got this whole PA and everything, and he's like, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, it looks great, but where's the power amps for the PA?" He's like, "Oh, that was a singer for Slipknot." Promoter. Yeah.
Boring.
Back in Des Moines, Iowa, back in the day, we played in the Arboretum.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. Wow. So here it is years later. I'm like
Slipknot, the pride of Des Moines, Iowa.
Right.
I mean, they.
So he was like a go-getting promoter, like a total entrepreneur, and hopefully, I mean, I guess we both learned something that day.
You know who was that guy in Connecticut? Jamie Jasta from Hatebreed.
Right, man.
Jamie Jasta from Hatebreed was that kid that was promoting shows in like the VFW hall. Yeah. When I managed Marauder, I've told this story before. When I managed Marauder, we stayed in Jamie's, and I slept in Jamie's sister's bed, not with Jamie's sister. They were away. But we all Marauder. We stayed at Jamie Jasta's parents' house and played like the VFW hall to like 75 kids. And guys like that. You know what? Guys like that are guys that just love music, man. They just
driven. That's right.
They're just driven. They have it in like Michael Alago, like there's a lot of them out there, like like me, we just love music. We just want to be involved in it. It's in our heart.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I mean, that was the whole thing with Vitus. You know, it was like, you know, I knew we were going to struggle, and so I joined Vitus, man, because I wanted to get out and get the music out. I was tired of spinning my wheels, you know, sitting around down, and you know, this, that, and the other. You know,
how did I know that there's a lot of sort of back and forth, and you know, we want to make our way eventually to the doc, but so you're in Vitus for a while. At what point does that sort of wind down and you resurrect the Obsessed?
yeah. I mean, it came down. Basically, what happened is on one of the Vitus tours in Europe. Okay, the first Obsessed record, we were supposed to be on Metal Blade. Okay, so we got a deal with Metal Blade. We signed a contract and everything. And his deal was then, Slagle's deal was you do one song in Metal Massacre comps, then you get a full length. So on our comp, on one song, that's the debut of thrash. On that very record is the debut of Nasty Savage, Dark Angel, The Possessed, right?
Yeah.
Slayer just come out of the box. So basically,
Concrete Cancer was the song,
right? And so you can tell by our song, obviously, you know, it wasn't thrash. But Slagle reneged on the full length, so I still had the tapes. We'd already recorded the record ourselves.
Right.
So when I joined Vitus, at some point in time, I took the master tapes over to Europe with me, and I basically told, well, I did hold a gun to their head a little bit. I held the shotgun to their head. I said, well, you know, you want some more Vitus? You're gonna have. How about putting this record out? So they said okay because they liked it, and then they wanted me to tour for the Obsessed too when I was still in Vitus. And I asked David, I said, hey, you know, the label wants me to do this. Is that okay? And he said, yeah. But later on, that became no. And that eventually became me having to make a choice between the Obsessed and Vitus. And I chose the Obsessed because I wanted to play guitar. But it wasn't easy at all. And it was hard, man. It was hard. But, you know.
We didn't touch on that, you know. Such a exciting and proficient player to sort of, I don't want to say be regulated to just singing, but you did play guitar here and there, but it must have been a bit of a drag to not be able to play guitar all the time.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. Like in the doc, in part of the doc, you can see me when I did play guitar in St. Vitus, like I thought it was heavier than fucking hell. I mean, I would sing, then I'd pick up my guitar for a million cents for 4 or 5 songs, then I would sing again. In the doc, you can see that happening a couple times, which I was really glad we got some of that footage because it's rare. But anyways, at one point in time, when we were doing that, some dude in America, I forget what we were playing, came up to me, and David's standing right here, the guitar player Vitus, and the guy goes, dude, you smoke Chandler on guitar. Okay.
Oh.
It was so hard because there was already a little bit of professional animosity. It was
great.
Yeah, man, it was hard. And after that, to be honest with you, after that, I didn't want to play guitar in Vitus anymore. I just wanted to sing. That was really fucking like, that was like the epitome of like the, what do you call that? Like this dude had no fucking, I don't know, man. Whatever you want to call that, it was just dumb. And, but you know, there was already a little bit of animosity there. But the bass player, Mark Adams, had always said he wanted me to play guitar in a band, and that was it. And then that later caused friction because he wanted to play stuff off Mournful Cries. You know, it just became drama. But bottom line is, I'm glad that I did just put down the guitar because that's when I learned how to sing.
Yeah. So you circle back and get the Obsessed, and the first thing that's released is the of course the record that you recorded that was never released. Finally sees. Is that the first thing that finally saw the light of the day? But then, I know I'm skipping one here, but then there's this.
Right. Well, before that happened, before that record, there was another one called Lunar
Womb. Yeah, Lunar Womb.
That was with Scott Reeder played bass, and you know he later joined Caius. But this record right here is when we got signed to Columbia, and the way that happened was that Kevin Sharp, Approved Truth, you know, he told Jim Welch, what was the record label then? Jim Welch was working for, was it Roadrunner or maybe? But anyways, he said, look, and
Hellhound?
No, that was a German label.
Yeah.
Right. So, but anyways, in the States, so Columbia was interested in us because Kevin Sharp, man, he told this one cat, and then that cat told the A&R guy for Columbia at the time, you know, Josh Sarubin. The next thing you know, Sarubin was prowling around LA, trying to see us play. And when he saw us play, he said, okay, I want to sign you, but you have to showcase for my bosses. And so we drove from LA, where I lived then, to New York City, to the Loeb Center, and showcased for Columbia.
The Loeb Center at NYU?
In New York City.
At NYU, the Loeb Center.
Right. So the show was like it was Trouble, Cathedral, this band called with Tom Five that later was in Zombie called Angel Rot.
Wow.
Some other bands in the Obsessed. And I remember that our sound man said that the reps came in, the Sony reps came in, or Columbia reps came in. One of them said, "Man, they're fucking loud." And the other guy said, "Let's sign them." And that was the story I heard. I don't know if that's true or not. But that show
record company execs. Ha 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 ha.
See, this was back in the day when they still had all the power. Their contract was, I used to put it under my bed and I'd read like 100 pages a night, It was like this,
Right.
But see, the way that this happened was, okay, about Cobain's death and all that. Okay, well, when Rosemary Carroll, who was married to Jim Carroll of the Basketball Diaries back then, she's now married to Dan Goldberg, right? But Rosemary Carroll was a lawyer who had signed the dudes who used to be in that DC band Scream, right? They had this band Wool.
Wool. You talk about the Stahl brothers.
That's right. So Rosemary Carroll was their lawyer. Okay. So Franz Stahl told Rosemary.
Franz and Pete.
Yeah, he said, you should go down and see this band, The Obsessed. And so Rosemary Carroll came down to see us play. And this show that we played was one of these shows where, in LA, it's a fucking, whatever, Club with No Name, or whatever it was, where, every promoter gets their own night and nobody can use their own shit because there's too many bands and all this crazy crap. So, we were at the mercy of the rental gear, right? So we had a little hand signal. If the rental gear was going south and we decided, fuck this shit, I would just go, that meant niche, because that meant destroy, So Rosemary was at the show, the rental gear, Guy hits a note, the speakers just stick there. Greg's already halfway through destroying the set, and I was just like, niche gate, and we just took it home. And after that show, Rosemary comes, come on up and talk to me what's the ritzy ass part of LA where everybody goes,
Beverly Hills?
Beverly Hills. She goes, come on up to my office in Beverly Hills and talk to me tomorrow. Because that's how it worked. The lawyer would sign, if you went with a lawyer, then she was the liaison, right?
Yeah.
So the people that were interested was Columbia, man. It's like, I talked to a couple of labels, and to be on Columbia Records was a dream come true for me. It was like all my favorite artists, or a lot of them were on Columbia, right?
Sure.
So we go to the office at Columbia, right? It's at 666 Madison Avenue. It was a big black building.
I know the building. It's still there. Yeah.
Right. You can't make this shit up,
Right.
That's pretty much the story. That's how we got signed. And then, of course, everybody warned me, man, aren't you afraid of this or that? And at the time, I was like, here's the license to fly. But the reality is my landlord didn't even thought I was lying to her that I had a record deal, because they would pay us late. We had to get Rosemary at $300 an hour to write Columbia a letter saying, if you don't pay these guys on time, you're going to breach. Like the check would go down from the 50th floor to the 49th floor.
Were you still on Hellhound? Was it Hellhound Columbia, or were you off Hellhound down?
What happened was I pulled the ultimate fucking thing that you don't do is at some point in time, the dudes in Hellhound got me drunk, and evidently I signed an artist agreement. I don't remember doing it. But when we're getting ready to get signed to Columbia, the Hellhound dudes were still in the mix, and they had said they'd make it real easy, but man, they just wanted to stick it to us, and they got a lot. The reason our deal with Columbia fell through partially is because they gave Hellhound so much.
That's
those things are complete pricks. I remember Rosemary Carroll coming in with our file and going, "This is Nirvana's file, this is Hole's file, this is our file." She says, "Wham! Those German cocksuckers." That's what she said. Because dealing with the law,
Yeah, that sucks.
Rosemary was tough as nails. We had the same birthday, and that's like another thing that kind of cemented, our relationship. So
what's the image on the cover of this record? What's the origin of this? Could you give us some perspective on it?
It's an amazing story. Okay, this guy David Snow took these pictures, and he took some band pictures, and then I noticed in his portfolio some Mayan pictures, some pyramids, and then I saw that, and I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "That is when he went down into a black area, a black hole inside of a pyramid, I guess like a kiva, sort of, so to speak. And he saw that was an energy swirl that was down there on its own, actually existing. And he was able to photograph it. No shit.
Wow, that's great.
You really have. So we decided to use it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was good idea or bad idea. I'm not sure. But but Mad Mark Rude, Mad Mark Rude, Mad Mark Rude,
Yeah.
guy, he drew the
Misfits, Misfits Earth AD.
Yeah, he did one side of that. Yep.
Yep.
So he was around, and I got him, asked him if he wanted to do the inside bit, and he did. And so the Church Within was like, obviously the Church Within. It's like not about any kind of fucking denomination. It's about what's in you, your spirit. So if you look at the inside of Rude's drawing, it's like a concrete jail cell, and there's a heart in the jail cell with a bullet hole in it. And that's Mad Mark Rude. I thought he executed that beautifully, man. And R.I.P.
That's right. Yes, Battalion of Saints. He did also. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, at Texas and the Horseheads, he did some shit for ministry. I mean, he was badass.
Yeah, he was great. There's a little documentary that's on this. I know we're skipping around, but this is the sort of the recent re-release of the Obsessed on vinyl, right?
Yeah.
This is the first.
We signed the Relapse, and we did a brand new record, and then we also gave them the first record and some demo stuff.
Yeah. Nice package this is.
Yeah, man, really good, really, really nice job of packaging and stuff. And I think that the Relapse thing was really great. Part of the deal was that we would be able to go to Europe, and I was supposed to be able to go to Europe, but I had some issues in Europe, and so it just strung things out a little bit. So I'm not really sure if that's what But the bottom line is that was really fucking great for the Relapse people to put that record out and to sign us. I mean, it was a really good deal, I thought.
Yeah. Good. Let me take a sponsor break here for a couple minutes. And hey, for everybody out there, listen, the show's going long today. We're in no rush. If you got to go eat dinner or wipe your kid's ass or whatever, go do it. We're gonna be here. We're gonna be here for a while today. We're not rushing out the door. So let's take a couple of minutes, Wino, and I'll see you in a few. All right. Here we go. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and this is a word from our sponsors.
Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey guys, Vlad from Organic Grill. As you can see, we're in a new location on West 3rd Street, right by Blue Note and Comedy Central. The place is bigger, kitchen is bigger, we have more varieties, more food. We are looking forward to treat you guys with great dishes. All Hardcore Chronicles, welcome to Organic Grill. We are going to serve all the events as we usually do, and we are happy to see you guys.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles.
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
Video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young readers section here for like 10 and under. The Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars! We are New York Hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
And we're back. Here we go. What's happening? I want to mention a couple things. Hey, Rat, are you out there? Where are you, Rat? Where's Rat Bones? Hold on a second. Come on. Come on now. Oh, there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been a minute. Why not?
Rat Bones! Rat Bones! Rat Bones! Rat Bones! Rat Bones! Rat Bones!
Bro. What's up? Hello?
What's up? What's up?
Come on.
Gotta give you guys a little preview.
Preview. What's going on, man?
Some of the shit I got coming. What's up?
You're doing this, right?
Yes, sir. This Saturday coming up. I got a big pop-up coming up. I'm only doing this once this year. I just been too busy working on my other jobs, and I'm kind of like taking a break from everything. So, but I got the one big sale. I got a lot of crazy stuff. I actually sent you some really cool pictures of some smalls. If you see them, if you want to pop a couple up, I would really appreciate it. I think Wino would even appreciate them because they're really cool. I just got them
really
today.
helps. It really
Some of the
helps.
stuff I'm selling is what I sent you pictures of.
Whoa, whoa, Skipper.
What's up, buddy?
Just for the future, just so you know, it really helps if you're going to send me pictures to do it before the show and
I
not
did
while
it
the
right
show's
as-
going on and I'm
I know,
fucking
buddy.
interviewing a guest.
Buddy, you can look there. They're there.
For fuck's sake, man. Help me help you.
Yo, Wino's a cool dude too, man. I know some of his music, but I'm not deep on him. But he's an incredible guy, man. I can't believe I don't know more. So I'm really enjoying this one.
All right, go on. I found a couple of your pictures. Go on.
Yeah. So I'm going to be on 25th, on the corner of 25th and 8th Avenue from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, May 20th. It's my area's co-op, Penn South on 8th Avenue. Everyone comes out and does the flea market yard sale type deal. But I bring down the best of the best. I clean up every year. I also, bring some food out. We have a good time. I'm listening to music. So if anybody wants to come out for the day on a beautiful day and represent this Saturday, come on out to the pop-up. I'm going to have stuff like this, some of it, First issue of Planet of the Apes. I just bought most of this week. So before I do a sale, I always get hot and see a lot of things. So I just want to move them quick. And, I do it for the love of it too,
Yep. I got what you sent me, man.
I just want to talk about the detail on them because.
Okay, this one's pretty fucking nice.
The guy with the mask.
Wait, no, this here I like. This is badass. What? This is nice. Boom.
Yeah, dude. I just got that today. And the cool thing about that, it's actually, I looked it up and it is a Timmy Toys from Aurora, Illinois. And to me, the cool thing about it is that rope is not broke in any spot. And I have another one and the rope's broke. It's just like one of those things like condition. And, I get the stuff mad cheap because I go in the flea market and I dig and like it can be scattered in with a bunch of 90s and toys that are recent. This is a really cool piece I just got for $5. It's probably about $40.
You know what?
Show the side piece of that, the Ferrari, the dinky toy, so they can see the Ferrari.
I didn't download it. That's what you
that's
got.
it.
And then
Oh, you
I
didn't
have
get that one? It's all good.
Yeah, this one.
Davy Crockett, right? Is that Davy Crockett or Daniel Boone?
It's hard to say. I don't know.
Exactly.
But anyway,
yeah, man,
I'll
I do
see
my
you-
little hustle on the side. Come on out. Let's have a great day. I appreciate you giving me a little airtime. I'm really enjoying the show. I still watch. You see me popping off in the comments.
Yep.
A big weekend this weekend. I missed it.
You're always welcome here. I'll see you down on Saturday. I'll come through.
All right, bet, guys. Peace.
See ya.
One love.
Rat Bones! Rat Bones! Rat Bones! Rat Bones! Rat Bones! Rat Bones!
You think this is an easy job? You think this shit is easy? Good Lord. Yeah, next time send me pictures before the show, not while I'm interviewing the guest. Anyway, come on down to Rap Bones's Come on down to Rap Bones's event. So there you go. Just while we're at it, just real quick before we bring Wino back, this Saturday is Rat's thing. Sunday, we're down at the Bowery Electric. It's Rampage Fest 5, 7 bands, 2 stages. Reaching Out, Cropsy, Extinguish the Code, Pink Mist, Sewage, Raid in Disguise. Free, all ages, matinee on the Bowery. Brought to you by New York Hardcore Chronicles and Heggs, Larry Kelly, Tony Palmisano, and Ray Hogan. After that, I'm going to be in Milwaukee. I'm going out with Biohazard. I'll be out there for this pre-metal Milwaukee Metal Fest Thursday with Jasta's playing and Danny Diablo is DJing. And then, of course, the next night, Biohazard is headlining the first American show in quite a while. I'll be there for that. I'll see you in Milwaukee. Then, yes, it's true. The next morning at 6 a.m., I'll be on a flight back to New York because I'm putting on this show here in our beloved Tompkins Square Park on Saturday, May 27th. Leeway, Rebelmatic, Butterbrain, Winterwolf, and Scott Helen. Be there. And then, of course, Biohazard's playing Irving Plaza. Sunday, June 25th at the Bowery Electric. We're doing a High and the Mighty set. It's my birthday show. Come through, hurl insults. The High and the Mighty, One Life All In with Don Foos, who I saw was watching the show before, Cleveland represent. Revenge Beast with Mark Rizzo, Concrete Ties, and India Vid. And then Sunday, July 30th is Dog Eat Dog. And then Sunday, August 13th is The Take, Silence Equals Death. Speaking of DC Hardcore, Star Car with Sab Gray, formerly of Iron Cross, Ma'afa, and Mr. Pickle's first show in 10 years. Also, just want to remind everybody, please support the show. Please support the show that supports you. There is a Patreon page. Please join Patreon. It's our community within the community. There's also a PayPal address there. Also, I see a lot of people asking questions, wino questions. We're going to get to all that. Hold your horses, as my grandfather would say. Hold your horses. The last part of the show, it's open. Questions, it's on. So just, there's a fucking format here, for Christ's sake. Also, there's a super chat function. If you have a question and you feel strongly about it, spend a couple bucks, do the super chat. It comes through in color. I can't miss it. You'll go right to the front of the line. That said, that's right. Listen, as far as that Tompkins Square Park shows, we need some help loading the stage in and out of the basement a couple blocks away. If you're of able body and mind, actually, if you're of able body, if you're not of able mind and you can take direction, we need some help. So if you're down there and you can help us, there's to load it out in the morning or load it back in at 8 o'clock at night. We need a couple of hands. So please, everybody likes free shit in the park, but free doesn't magically happen. Roll up your sleeves, get involved. That said, we demand answers. Relax, there's going to be plenty of it. Hold on. Let me bring Wino back on. You hear that? The public's demanding answers.
Yeah, you know what? It's all good.
Yeah, hold your horses. We let's I want to skip around a little bit. I want to talk about that. This is something where you and I crossed paths in the making of this. I produced, Paris Mayu from Cro-Mags directed the video off this record, which is Biohazard After Forever, and then I did me and my brother. We did remember EPKs? We did the EPK for this, and we interviewed Lemmy, some of the White Zombie folk, Bruce Dickinson, and we went and interviewed you. This is an incredible track that you play on. On this, you played on the Wizard. And
There's a cool story around this too that I'll tell you when you know. Yeah,
you, Geezer Butler, Bill Ward, and with Rob Halford singing. Tell us a little bit about it.
And what happened is they wanted the Sabbath, obviously, Timothy Black. They wanted Sabbath. This is the first one. So so basically what happened was that Toby Wright, he's a really great famous producer, you know. They said Toby Wright was contracted with Columbia. They sent him to England to talk to the guys in Sabbath. Okay, so before he did that, he got the studio guitar player and a studio harmonica player, and they worked up this version of the Wizard. So he took that to Geezer first, and Geezer was like, "I love it," and Geezer wrote that cool heavy middle part, right? So they took it. They took it. Everybody in Sabbath loved it. So okay, so all the band got together and they did the version, right? But then the record company Cheese took hold, and Iommi's record company was fighting with Ozzy's, and basically, so what happened was they couldn't use either one of them, right? Columbia. So they called Rollins. They called Henry Rollins and said, "You want to sing on this track?" And Henry said, "No. Why don't you call it Wino?" Right? So, but by the time they got to me, they already had Halford singing it, but they still needed the guitar. So they said, "Do you want to come in here?" And Toby Wright, man, listen, Toby Wright was amazing because, you know, the day that I said, "Can you send me a version of, you know, this version you have?" And it was like mind-bending cool, man. It's like it was down a half step or a whole step. I mean, killer harmonica player, you know, guitar player was just like, you know. So I go in there to the really ritzy studio, the record plant, meet Toby Wright. He looks like the cyber priest, man. He's almost got like his priest thing. He's got his tight little bun. He says, "I really like your shit." And I was like, "What do you mean, Vitus?" And he goes, "No, the Obsessed, especially." He had done his homework. He had gone to his local record store in Colorado and bought my shit just to do one song, right? So wait, the story is really interesting. So I get there, and basically he says, "I'm going to wipe Iommi's tracks." I mean, that's what it is. I'm going to just go. They can't use his tracks, but they want it to sound like that. So basically, I was just going to play over Iommi's tracks, which is kind of blasphemous, but whatever. So here I am. So basically, I had a Maestro Boomerang Wah, you know, original one, and I had my my Model T, Sun Model T, and I had a really beat up cab, and man, we set it all up, and I cocked the wah, and I had the tone. The cabinet was a little bit doggy, so while we're upstairs getting another cabinet that they had, my bass player at the time was the only one that got to hear the track with all the dudes from Sabbath.
Wow.
Yeah, little motherfucker. So,
I mean, that's still got to be out there somewhere, right?
I don't know, man. I mean, maybe. I mean, you know, if he was smart, he would have whipped out his cell phone and recorded it. But just kidding. But anyway, so okay, so I do the track. And the track is really interesting because it's like the guitar is like to the 12th fret every time. And Toby Wright's standing over me going, "Every time, man, 12th, every time." You know, he was really like one of those producers that kind of can get performance out of you without pissing you off, you know?
Sure.
So at the end of the day, I said, "Well, who's doing the solo on the track?" He goes, "Oh, I've already got a solo from the guy in Fight." Okay. He goes, "But you could try one, right?" So, you know, I went in there cold, did a solo, and, you know, it pretty much wasn't happening. But so I kind of just, you know, at the end of the solo, I just kind of went whang. And Toby goes, "Well, you know, I don't know about the solo, but I really love that noise." Okay. So if you listen to that solo, that motherfucker spliced in my noise into the middle of the solo. If you listen to that track, use it so you can hear it, but all of a sudden it goes, bang, you know? It blew my fucking mind. But I mean, I never met any of those cats. I didn't meet them. I just played, you know, to the tapes or whatever. But
that was my question. Did you guys do it together? You know?
No, we didn't do it together. But I was invited to the party. But man, I think I was at the time, the night of the party, I didn't feel like going. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's how these things go. Yeah. But
I knew it was going to be, you know, it's like, but I mean, I would have loved to go on and meet the cats, but I didn't want to have all the grip and grin shit that goes with it, you know?
Yeah, of course. You know, one of your great bands that I really enjoy is Spirit Caravan. What was the impetus, you know, to put that band together, and what was sort of what was the game plan there?
Well, the game plan was I came back from, you know, the Columbia deal with the Obsessed, like with my tail between my legs. Basically, I rode a Greyhound bus from Lancaster, California, back to Maryland with in a pair of shorts, a pair of thongs, and a little bag where I had some Wawa circuits and shit like this. That's all I owned in the world. After that, after like LA, basically, you know, after the deal folded in LA, I just kind of ran wild, and eventually I was like, I had a staph infection on my foot. It was eating its way to the bone. So basically, I just said, "Fuck it, I'm going back to Maryland." So I go back to Maryland. I mean, the road looks very long. You know, retirement was, I was considering hanging up my guns even then, you know. But Dave Sherman, this local kid, and Gary, another guy, they kept calling me going, let's jam, let's jam. These kids from my area, they knew all my shit, you know. So they finally dragged me out of the house to jam. And I mean, I had a Telecaster because that's the only guitar I had. I was working at a backline company though. That's the thing. I got a job at a backline company. They had a telly there. The guy let me borrow it. So I had this telly. So I went to this first jam, and they knew all my shit. So all of a sudden, it was like, maybe the road isn't so long, you know? So we first called the band Shine, okay?
Right.
It might sound a little hippy-dippy, a little bit, maybe probably was. But we changed the name of Spirit Caravan. We got a cease and desist letter from this band in Arizona. It goes, well, we have the copyright, and we're being groomed by a major label, blah, blah, blah.
From a band that another band that had the name Shine?
Yeah. But
okay.
Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself because
but if I may interject, Spirit Caravan was the name of one of your other songs, so it made sense to sort of usher that in and create some continuity there.
Right, and I'm leaving out a crucial part here. Okay, when Spirit Caravan formed, Joe Lally from Fugazi, bass player. Okay, now Joe had been a kid in the neighborhood in the early Obsessed days when I had the band house, you know, and the dude, my roommates, or not my roommates, I was the landlord, you know, my tenants were fucking, we're deadbeats, man, you know. It's like, you know, one dude would be like, you know, tear off course and we put it on my door, $50, you know, I'd be like, dude, your rent's $500, you know, that kind of shit. So when Joe said, I want to leave my parents' house and move in, I knew he was a responsible cat. So Joe moves in, he says, hey, will you give me bass lessons? And I said, yeah. So we gave him some bass lessons. Okay. So the next time I saw him, he was playing to 5,000 people, and I was playing to 500.
Wow, who knew? I never knew that.
Right. Okay. So he started this label called Tolada, which was his mother's maiden name. Okay. So he started this label specifically to put out my music and other bands that he dug, like Dead Meadow, for example. And so Tolada is Spirit Caravan. That's how we gained traction. I mean, he put out Jug Full of Sun. He put out Dream Wheel, and he put out
Elusive Truth.
Yeah, Elusive Truth. So Joe Lally Fugazi, man, was crucial. You know, crucial. So okay, where were we now?
Well, no, that you know where we are now. We're trying to touch on a couple of important things before you know. So
Joe was beautiful, man. Joe and Ian are beautiful, really beautiful people.
They love you, man. They have nothing but good. You know, everything I saw. You know, now I'm connecting some dots here.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, you're connected with the early DC scene, and I know later, you know, you played on the Probot. You did the Emerald Law, which is a great fucking track on the Probot record. Of course, I'm assuming, you know, that the Dave Grohl connection goes back to the DC.
Yeah, but it's interesting. It dovetails with the DC thing because basically Grohl had, you know, Grohl's Foo Fighters. He's already established there.
Sure.
He decided he wanted to get back to the roots thing, you know, and do the Probot thing. So what that was is he wrote songs with different singers in mind, and then we pitched them on doing it, right? And you know, I was honored to do it. Like, you know, I knew Dave and Scream, but I played with Dave one time. The Obsessed, there's this punk rock guy in DC worked at this record store, and he was kind of a go-getter, and he became a promoter, and he got us on this bill in Richmond supporting Waddy. What's Waddy? The Scottish punk band.
Exploited, right.
Sorry. So he got us on that bill, and also supporting on the bill was this band called Mission Impossible. And that was David Grohl's early band when he was just a really, really skinhead kid. And they played this breakneck shit, but their claim to fame was they would play the Mission Impossible theme at like 78 speed, you know. So yeah, I think that's when he first saw the Obsessed, and then later on Scream, we knew each other. Well, when he sent me that track and said he wanted me to play lead and write the words and sing, dude, I was blown away. It was right up my alley. And so the day that we go to do it, we're going to do it at his studio at his house, mom's house in Virginia. But he goes, man, I left my studio on for 6 months. We're going to go to Ziantaras and do it in D.C. Don Ziantara, where Meyer Fit and all those dudes recorded their shit.
And this is when Don had the studio. You know, he's back in the original space now in his house.
Damn. So
he is. He's back. But this is when he moved. This is when he was out and had the big studio.
No, like in the original one before he moved out.
This was before?
Inner ear, dude, at the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I drove down to Arlington,
Yeah.
and met David and Adam there, and we did it in the entire city. So that's really fucking cool. We were able to do that there with him,
Yeah,
He engineered it. David's dude engineered it. The entire engineered, or him and David's dude engineered, what I did. And man, I was really glad to have the opportunity to do that. I thought it was an amazing track. It was really like, but that track is really special because at the very beginning of the track, it needed something. So at the time, I was reading this, some Zechariah Sitchin, researching some Babylonian stuff, and there's this Babylonian poem that Sitchin had translated from a cuneiform stela. And that's what I say at the very beginning of the Probot. I'm talking. That's like ancient Babylonian. So, I mean, to be able to do that, I mean, I get chills when I think about it because I think that even though it's got raw production, I think that song is.
Our friend and supporter Paul Stone, no relation, asks. He says, it says, "Shake Your Blood" is the definitive Motorhead song that Lemmy never wrote. And I noticed that in the video, you're in the video playing with those guys. You didn't play on the track, but you're in the video. Must have been kind of a thrill to be in the mix with Lemmy.
Man, not only that, but I mean, David decided he wanted to try to get some, so he hired the Suicide Girls. So
right.
And where we recorded that track was where Zappa did 200 Motels.
No shit.
And it was it was like a rotary stage where. So basically, here's what happened. Okay, that song "Shake Your Blood," I didn't play on that at all.
Right.
But they asked me to be in the video, and so basically, what I did is I just beat his guitar. What it is like we're on the stage, it's spinning, right?
Yeah.
They put the monitors on there with us. And so as the stage turns, we still got our monitor mix, I think. But it was going too fast for Lemmy. He's like, whoa, like had to slow down a little bit for Lemmy, But
did you? Excuse me. Go ahead.
But I mean, there's all kinds of there's really funny stories attached to it. But you go ahead.
Was Lemmy a friend? Did you have a personal relationship with Lemmy?
I did have a relationship with Lemmy because I was really good friends with Lemmy's speed dealer from Maryland. And so basically, I was hanging out with her one night, and she goes, "Man, I better call Lemmy. He's been calling me for 3 days. He's probably scraping bags by now." And I was like, I thought that was kind of disrespectful, but anyways, I know how it is. So I had somebody left at my house. I had this dude sleep. I let this dude crash there. And when I cleaned up the next day, I found this patch. It was a World War II German insignia. I didn't know what it was, but I knew Lemmy was a collector. So I'm sitting there with Marie, and I said, "Tell Lemmy I've got this patch." He's like, "Oh yeah, bring him over, bring him right over, right?" Because he's such a collector. So
he was a big. I'll use the term World War II memorabilia collector.
Right, and let me just explain to that he was not into anything that any of the negative aspects of the Third Reich and thing. He was solely into the pageantry.
He was into collecting, like people collect Facebook cards. He collected Third Reich stuff, memorabilia.
Come on, nobody can deny the fact that they had the coolest uniforms.
Yeah, the good. They had the what was it called? As my dad would say, the art direction. They had the art direction together.
Man, whoever that when they took the Swazi, which was a positive symbol forever and ever, and turned it around and made that the ad campaign. I mean, that was like some fucking some really deep evil shit. Right?
Albert Speer was the set decorator, and a lot of that pageantry and all that. Yeah,
he was the architect. He wasn't the ad man. When I think about that, I think about like the ad man sitting around the table going, "Well, what can we do? We need a new logo," But anyways, all that aside, so I mean, when I met Lemmy the first time, he was wearing a fucking Prussian officer's greatcoat, general in the strip bar in LA, the epaulets and all this shit. We started talking, and he was telling me he had just read the book where it finally came out that both Roosevelt and Churchill knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen and let it happen, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's what me and Lemmy talk about, shit like that. We're in Jumbo's clown room, all these naked chicks, and me and Lemmy are talking about, some heavy shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we were strangling the Japanese with the oil embargo. We knew we were provoked. We knew that was coming.
That's
You
right.
know.
And, it goes so much deeper when you talk about these wars. Like, they've all been orchestrated,
Sure.
and they've all been orchestrated by the same bloodline. I mean,
And they're also all orchestrated because inevitably, in the end, the economy needs it, and there's money to be made.
That's
you
right.
know?
We'll do a separate. We can do a separate.
Yeah, we could do it. Yeah, we could do that. So, I want to get to the doc.
I got all day, brother. I got
Yeah,
all day
yeah.
for you, man. I'm enjoying the fuck out of this.
Yeah. I'm looking. Where's? I only wonder if I need to touch on anything. Here's one for you. Was Shrine Builder a super group?
I considered personally. I mean,
Yeah.
I consider Shrine Builder to be on par with Down. It's basically sort of like. I guess I would have to say I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but I thought Shrine Builder was the super group of our generation. And I told those dudes, I said, listen, with a little bit, if we give this time, we should carry with our pedigree, we should carry a little bit of production. We should hire some people to help us, and we should tour relentlessly. And we might break even at first, but I said it's going to snowball. But nobody listened to me. Everybody's more interested in putting money line in their pockets, really, to be honest with you. I mean, that what comes next might be a little bit, might burst some people's bubble. But all I'm going to say is that I thought it was one of the most majestic. Man, that music was so hypnotizing. If somebody were throwing a bottle from the crowd or whatever, I would never even seen it because, I mean, man, that was heavy, passionate, just nothing but love, And basically, Al called me up.
Well, there's a question here, and we'll do a question. Bunny asks, my question, what about working with Al?
Okay, I'll tell you about working with Al. Spirit Caravan had just folded, and I'm not really sure exactly what. Well, in between Spirit Caravan and the Hidden Hand, Al called me up and he says, "Dude, I got riffs and a backpack." Okay, what that meant was he was ready to come out of retirement and start playing. So at the time, I couldn't do it then, but later on, when the smoke cleared a little bit, we started talking about it, and he had the whole concept of the name Shrine Builder. So we actually jammed. Hakius was still, was playing with Al, and was in sleep. He was reserved for sleep.
Yep.
So we had this jam, and I guess he might have been in Ohm. I guess, yeah. So Ohm played in DC. We went back to my pad in Maryland, and we actually had a jam to try to put together the Shrine Builder thing. It was me, Al, and Chris Hakius. Okay, well, Hakius eventually left, and in between that, Al said to me, he goes, "Man, I'd really like to bring Scott Kelly from Neurosis into the mix because I think he'd be perfect." And I had just done a podcast thing with Kelly. I was like, man, we were like, peas in a pod. So basically I said, yeah. So then, we had no drummer now because Hank just left. So we all sat around and we said, if we could have our choice.
Who would it be?
Who would it be? And we said, Dale Crover. And he agreed.
Wow, that's great.
He agreed. So we started, when we did that record, I mean, we got together, me and Al got together, then me and Kelly and Al got together, and then me and Al and Crover got together, but we had never been all four together playing except for the night before we went to record. We did one long-ass rehearsal. The next day we went down to this fucking little studio down in LA and we laid down that record. And man,
But that was done. That was done. That's a record that was done with everybody in the studio at the same time.
Right, in one day. Okay. But after the session was done, I thought they said, okay, this is good. I said, no, it's not good. It was a little bit thin. I called Kelly and I said, you should send the tracks down to Jay Robbins in Baltimore so I can lay a couple heavy rhythms, more fat rhythms on there. And
Jay Robbins.
Or else it's going to be weak. He agreed. So they sent it to the Magpie Cage or Jay Robbins from Jawbox Studio in Baltimore. And I laid down a couple more fat rhythms and beefed it out some because it needed it. And so after that, it was done, Yeah. And like I say, it was a magical band, really. I mean, really.
Yeah.
But I was always the black sheep, dude. Like I'm the guy going, we shouldn't if you try to save money so hardcore because you're kind of like maybe a little greedy.
Yeah.
It's going to end up costing you money.
That's
you know
right.
What I mean?
That's
That's
right.
exactly what happened, man. It's like, and there was some ballyhoo later, some drama that about like money and all that shit. But I'll tell you one thing right now. I was into that band 100%, and I told fucking Al I would do the next record, and it's on them, I mean, all kinds of shit transpired, of which I was accused of this, that, and the other, and you know what? That was bullshit. But bottom line is this: it was a magical band. I'd do another record if I had time, but I don't these days. But
And sort of before we get on to the film, tell us about Premonition 13 and Sparky and how that came together.
Oh yeah, man. Sparky's one of my best friends, and his old lady, Ann Barry, is the one who initially went to California because she knew Penelope Spheris, who did the Decline movie and also
Sure.
Burbia, right?
But didn't Penelope? I think did she direct Wayne's World? I think.
Did she do that too? I didn't know that.
I think she
wow,
did.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I think she did. That was her like mainstream, like that was yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Decline. I mean, come on, that was fucking amazing, man.
The first two Decline movies.
A hero, man.
The first two Decline movies were really great. Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess the second one with Chris Holmes and all that, right?
Yeah. It was disturbing. That was sort of disturbing. Yeah.
It is disturbing, but who's great in that movie? Fucking Lemmy. Because he was
Lemmy's
he doesn't like to do interviews with the interviewer off camera.
Yeah.
He had him cornered on that balcony. He's really bristling that night, man. Like that's like one of my favorite Lemmy pieces right there. But anyways, so Ann Barry was Sparky's old lady. Me and Sparky knew each other from Hollywood. Like, we were both into staying up a couple of days and jamming. We started talking about magnetism, and that kind of pulled us together. And we're both into the mind thing and Mesoamerican stuff. And so his old lady had gone to California, and she's got the obsessed side of Metal Blade. Okay,
right.
So here it is, all these years later, and so I'm hanging out with her, and I meet Sparky, and man, we just hit it off like motherfucker. And they were looking for a house. Ann had this dream. They went driving out of the desert, and they found this house. It was Aldous Huxley's house.
Wow. The doors of perception.
Right. He was a British author who left Europe because he was a socialist, basically.
It all comes back to the psychedelic experience, doesn't it?
Because okay, so they ended up buying that house in Llano, California, and check this out. That's the house where, on his deathbed, Huxley's old lady mainlined him with like a high dose of LSD 25 on his deathbed to send him out.
Wow.
Right. So that's where Premonition 13 rehearsed and took root. Yeah.
Okay. So
there was a fucking rubber mask of Huxley in the garden for the fucking scarecrow still.
Wow.
Fucking crazy, man. Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean,
something was in the air.
Something was in the air. I mean, he wrote Brave New World too.
Oh yeah, right.
I mean, come on. That's like
yeah.
Between him and Orwell,
right?
They saw it coming. Here
Right
they
on.
are.
Yeah. Let's talk about the film a little bit. The documentary. It was released yesterday, and I want to say I watched it today. I watched it the last couple of days. You sent me a link. Listen, anybody out there, if you're enjoying this interview, you will love this Wino documentary. It's all this and more, and it's available. You could track it down at www.new-terms.com, and that's where you could buy the DVD. And which gets a lot of care and love because it's DIY, and there you go, brother. Yep.
Yeah. This picture's getting some fucking getting some action. But basically, if you want to get the stream, if you want to buy the stream video, you can go to bit.ly/New Terms Productions, and that you can the stream. You can buy the stream there, and
right.
I dig it, man. I'm happy.
So your gal Charlie directed it, right? She and I said she did everything.
For the audio, we had some help with audio by a friend of ours, Benjamin Horn.
So I'm going to read straight off my notes. All right, my notes that I made. Okay, created, directed, and edited by Charlie Patches. Right, lots of music. Which this is as a documentary filmmaker, there's lots of music in this film, which I like. That you really, you guys, you constantly go back to the music and there's a lot of great footage, a lot of great archival footage. It's a music-driven film. Even in the end, when the end credits roll, it's like, holy shit, there's like 50 of your songs in this fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that shit makes me cry, dude. I mean, it brought tears to my eyes. I mean, really.
Yeah, it spoke to me, and I like how it just goes back to your music and to that old footage. Lots of music, guns and motorcycles, right? I love your mom in it. Your mom is great in it. You know, it's a nice touch. It puts things in perspective. I like when she talks about that. You know, as a kid, you were into football, but then you kind of you ran off course a little bit, but then you found guitar.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
much
great.
to her dismay, but you know, it's okay.
but you know what? It's funny though. It reminded me of my dad because, much to his dismay, you know, I sort of, you know, went off track. But you know, eventually I circled back, and you know, now
It's
you
funny you say
know,
that because that's what happened to me. Like eventually, she actually told me that not that long ago. She goes, you know, a lot of the stuff you've been talking about over the years, you know, I think a lot of it is true. Like she actually, like, yes, yeah. It was, I think for me and her, I mean, you know, man, I think it's, you know, it's important to reconnect if you can, you know.
Yeah. It was nice. It puts it put things in perspective. And yeah, here's a super chat. Cathal Strafak, bottle of Jack with Wino the Obsessed, Dublin 2018. All right.
Badass.
Drinking with your fans.
Badass. We went to see the Phil Wynot statue later that night.
Oh, wow. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, in Dublin. Yeah, sure. So going on, mom is great. Loves his fans. It really comes across. Loves his fans. Honesty. It really comes across. You know how you just, man, you love your fucking people and your people love you. And I think part of the big reason is because you just give it straight, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's important, man, I think it's important to fucking, you know, speak your mind, speak your heart, you know. Passion is what it's all about. But, man, it's predicated by love. I mean, bottom line. I mean, if that sounds hippy-dippy, I don't care. I mean, you've got to get, you know, it's like I always like, you know, I'd always walk away from, you know, a fight if I could, you know. I always try to mediate it. I'm always kind of like the diplomat, you know, but, you know, some people just don't understand that, you know. So some people, all they understand is violence, which is kind of a shame. But, you know, now I'm getting sidetracked.
Yeah. Hold on. Love the clip of him playing with his kids.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I really thought, because, you know, I'm watching the film and I'm sort of like, you know, we're kind of doing this. And I actually, right about then, and I hear you in the background, Charlie, right around then, I'm thinking, does he have any kids, or does, you know, any more background to him? And then you turn up with all three of your kids that are playing guitar with you, and I thought that was very touching and very appropriate. I enjoyed it.
Right on, brother. Right on. I mean,
are any of them playing music like professionally? Are they in a band or anything?
No. My oldest son's going to be a doctor. That's who I'm jamming with at the end. Like, but my daughter, my middle son actually is probably on his way to the Olympics. He's a platform diver. Last I checked, he was like 4th or 5th in the nation. He's unbelievable. But my daughter, who's my youngest child, she's got a voice like an angel. And on my last acoustic record, she sings a little bit on that a little bit.
Your son that's diving, is he doing that in college or anything?
Yeah, he goes to Indiana right now, and he's diving in Indiana. His name's Max Weindrich. I mean, he's like, man, goddamn. I mean, platform, first of all.
Yeah, I dove in high school, by the way.
Did you really? Man, I'll tell you what, I've got some stuff I can send you of him. I mean, you know, man, it gives me chills when I think about it. He's so good, you know.
Right on. But
he's the one. It's more like, okay, my oldest son is really fucking amazing. Like, he's really smart and he's musical and all that. He's gonna be a doctor. But my middle son is the one who sort of understands my philosophy a little bit more.
There you go.
Like, like he's more open to what I'm saying. He's not immediately painting me as like, dad's on the fringe here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, kids sort of kind of go like they sort of, you know, first dad was the coolest, then he wasn't so cool,
Right,
and then, you know, now he's kind of cool, and then dad's cool again. You know,
somebody told me once, you know, you can't try to be their friend when they're in their teenage years, or whatever. They don't want a friend. They've already got enough friends. They want a parent. You know, that's the hard.
Well
to
put.
do. I mean, we're separated. We've been separated for a long time because me and my ex-wife were separated. So, you know, I wasn't there for a lot of their growing up. But I mean, the most amazing thing is that now me and my ex-wife are friends again, and you know, she brought my daughter up here for the me and Charlie's wedding and stuff. So we come full circle. So I feel super lucky to have that because, you know, man, it was like if I would have gone to any one of those first hearings they tried to get me to go to, who knows? I'd probably still be in jail. You know.
Hey, you know, it's good to have gratitude about these things at this point in life. You know, it's like, and thankfully we have some of that in these situations. I have a similar situation, so I'm grateful for it. You know,
very cool, brother. Very cool.
Yeah.
He really told me, bass player for the Obsessed. He's from Arkansas. He told me, he said he turned me on to Ray Wiley Hubbard.
Right.
And what I took away from Hubbard was that he's got this quote that, you know, if you keep your gratitude higher than your expectations, then that's
I like that. I always carry, you know, have some gratitude in your attitude. You know, I try to carry that. You know, and you know, graciousness and humility go a long way in this life, man.
Oh yeah.
You know, especially in the world we're living in now with all this bullshit. You know.
And you know, when you're touring musician, like you go to these clubs. And these club owners and people, they've been traumatized by arrogant musicians. You know what I mean? So if you roll some at a joint, or if you say thank you, these people are fucking happier than hell. You know?
Sure. So another thing, and this is a little heavy, but you know, in the honesty thing, you know, there's a clip of you know, snorting rails, you know, and like I just thought, you know what, a lot of balls to put that, to put that just out there. Like, you know what? It is what it is, man. This is part of my life. And like, there's bumps in the road. And here I am running hard, motherfuckers, you know?
You know, that was a decision, really, because I knew my kids.
I bet.
But, you know, that's exactly it. That's the reality. We want to be honest. We want to be honest. I mean, and it wasn't Coke.
Yeah. And when I see something like that as a filmmaker, I know there's a conscious decision. This is something that was talked about. It's like, do we, you know, is this something we want to put out there? And I think in the case of the film, you know, you put it out there. And I got to say, at the end of the film, when the clip came up of you on the porch, you know, where you live, you know, I was like, damn, he looks really good. And you know, at the end there, I'm like, damn. And then I guess apparently at that point you sort of, you know, you laid off the heavy shit and yeah.
I mean, it shows. I mean, you know, you can't live. All I'm going to say is, like, I think that drugs are for special things. I mean, you know, I think they're important in some ways, and I think they're detrimental in others. Like, I would never ever advocate for any younger people to do hard drugs. You know,
sure.
But I will say that in my case, it both disabled and enabled me, you know.
Sure.
And you know, it is what it is. I mean, you know, you live hand to mouth for so long playing underground music, you know, just driven on that, you know, thing. Certain things happen. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
I feel lucky, man, because I have support. I feel really lucky to be able to pull down into where I'm at now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely, and that comes through in the film. And by the way, I just want to tell everybody that the film features Bobby Liebling from Pentagram, Dixie from Weed Eater, of course, the infamous Jimmy Bauer from Down and I Hate God, Dave Grohl, Phil from Pantera, Pepper's in it, Henry, and lots more. So there's a lot.
Jamie's in there. Jamie's in there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so it's great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And you know, there's some talk of let's get you down to you and Charlie down to New York, and let's do a little event at Generation Records together. I think that would be fucking great.
We're gonna do that for sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
That said, yes, Weed Eater. Yeah, people like Weed Eater.
Yeah.
That said, let's take a real quick sponsor break, and we'll come back and we'll take questions from around the world.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
All right. We'll see you in a minute. There you have it. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today is Wino. All right. With the fucking questions that you've been posting for the last 2 hours and 5 minutes, repost them if you got them. I'll go back up and look for them. It's question time, because this is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by blah, 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 and 126 Hardcore Clothing. It's a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them. Ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. Come on now, Devin. Looking for extreme music? DTFM Vinyl has got you. Located in 13th Ave in the jewel of North Dakota, Fargo, we have the state's best selection of punk, hardcore, metal, ska, oi, and more. Can't make it in? Shop online from anywhere in the country at www.dtfmvinyldistro.com. DTFM Vinyl, where the policy still is and always will be death to false metal. That said, I want to remind everybody once again. I don't know if I drove drove it home. There is a Patreon page. Please support the show. By the way, the second volume of the New York Hardcore Chronicles, which is volume 2, 1990 to 1999, is being designed. It will be out in a couple of months. It is free to all patrons. There's a little bit of here. You want to see a little bit of what it's looking like? Here you go. Here's a couple of pages from the new book. A little bit on no redeeming social value. Some remember the gas station on the Lower East Side on Avenue B. Some words from Paul Bearer. Some words from Lou Kohler, Sick of It All. Jesse Malin. Lots going on. Book is being designed. The book is happening. Join Patreon. You will get, just like this one, you will get it for free. Help me help you. All right. That said, what else? I want to shout out a couple of my new patrons. Tim Shear, Eddie Medina, Dr. Wolfenbergen, D. Kafizov. D, if you're watching, what the hell are you doing? What the hell is he every other day with you coming in and out? And also Thomas Fritz. Listen, another thing I want to say that I always meant to say is that, listen, anybody, you can reach out to me anytime, whether you're a patron or not. Listen, I'm always available. I'm an accessible person. This is what I do. I just want to say and invite you. Maybe there's some advice. Maybe your kid's having a hard time in school. Reach out for anything. You can find me. You know where I am. There's an Instagram. There's my Instagram. At Stone Films NYC. So you can reach out to me anytime. Listen, maybe you want your crappy ass band to play in New York. Whatever. We'll see what we can do. What else? I think I got it. I think it's all good. Let's bring our guest back on. Hey, man.
Hey.
And let's see what we got here. Yeah, Drew responds quickly.
Yeah, let's dig in.
Tell my girlfriend that. Get the fuck off the phone. Let's see. All right. Here's one. This kind of ties in with. Let's do this. Spiky asks, well, he says, bike of choice these days, still a Super Distortion pickup fan? I'll get 2 questions. Let's do gear stuff. All right.
Yeah,
I was out last night, right? and Mike DeJean, who's been on the show, who is a musician here in New York, he came up to me and he said, "You got to ask him about this aluminum neck guitar." Guitar.
Yeah.
He's
Sure.
like, ask him about that.
Okay, I'll tell you what that is. That's
Yeah.
that's an EGC, electrical guitar company. Really cool, really cool company. And basically, that guitar is all aluminum. But man, it's not like you would think. I named that guitar Heavy Mama because it's a couple pounds heavier than the regular Les Paul. But that guitar is like picking up a bomb. It's my go-to guitar. It's got a slutty neck.
That's what he said. He said that thing nothing sounds like that.
Nothing sounds like this guitar. Here it is, right here, Heavy Mama. And,
Wow.
Basically, it's all aluminum. The back is powder coated aluminum.
Wow.
And in order to even get to the electronics, you got to take all these outlets off. It's neck through. This guitar is badass, man.
And who makes that?
EGC, Electrical Guitar Company.
Got it.
That's what
You
they're
said
called.
that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's okay. I mean, the pickups are really unusual. They came with the guitar. I think they're made by the company, and they are hotter than hell. I mean, this guitar is virtually indestructible. I mean, the only thing that happens is because it's all metal, a little burr might happen on the nut because it's metal too. But man, this has got the sluttiest neck you can ever imagine, and that means like it's fast and easy, kind of a little bit wide. But this guitar is just so like a woman, man. It's like big old booty, and like it never quite warms up.
That's funny. Larry Kelly says one of the guys I grew up with that's in one of my bands has one. I guess I've seen it. It didn't.
They make them in all. They make them in different configurations. Like I fell in love with this company when.
Is that 22 frets?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You can hear that. Now I just off my notes, and I'm sort of quoting off the internet here. Wino stated that his signature sound comes from a Gibson Les Paul with DiMarzio super distortion pickups plugged into a Sun Model T amp. He also changes the pre and power tubes of his amps with EH and JJ ones because, quote, it's like a fuzz box built into the amp.
Well, he's got the JJ thing wrong, but basically that's what it is. Basically, the Sun Model T is an amazing amplifier. They went through two configurations before the modern Model T, which is bought by Fender, which is not the same. But the 75, 71 to 75, I think. Okay, so basically what I would do is I saw these amps as a little kid. Like I loved them because it had a grill, so you could see right through the amplifier, right?
Sure.
But it was a beefy amp, and it had a master volume. So basically, what a Model T is like it's sort of like you can get some gain out of it. It's like bass players would use them. You get that Felix Pappalardi, Jack Bruce kind of grind, right? Because
sure.
you have two inputs, bright and normal, and then they had a patch bay so that you could plug into the middle thing, which combined both inputs, right? So if you go in the middle, so now you're in both inputs. If you dime both those inputs and then bring up your master, it's just like, to me, I really like getting a sound without a pedal. I mean, if you can get a good, creamy, sustain and the distortion you like without using a pedal all the time, I'm all about it. So that's what I do between the combination of the pickups and the amp. But the JJ thing's wrong. Like JJ, basically, I would use Electroharmonics or Sovtek preamp tubes, 1287s, and then Svetlana 6550s. So, I mean, that's expensive, man. Back in the day, I mean, those Model Ts are so powerful. If you put a fucking brand new quad of matched Svetlanas in a motherfucker and get some, modern preamp tubes with get you a little grind, I mean, man, 2, 3, maybe.
Sure. Got it. LaRue says, yeah, discharge bass player plays a Kramer with an aluminum neck. The thing about the discharge bass player is he hasn't changed those strings since the 80s. That's part of his sound. He hasn't changed the strings on that bass since the 80s. Now, you change your strings every night, right?
I used to change every night, but as I got older and I could control stuff a little bit better, I change them I got 3 guitars. with the tuning. So one guitar I might play less than the others in the set.
Yeah,
Basically,
okay.
Usually 3 shows a night. I can go 3 shows before. If I'm at the point where I'm like, man, I might break one. Murphy's Law, I'm gonna break one then,
Yeah.
So three shows, and I like to use area strings, but I stopped for some reason. I stopped being able to get them. So I use like a heavy bottom, light top, like 56, 46, 36, and I got a pretty radical jump, 17, 13, 10. So pretty radical jump there. But I mean, I play lead, so
And what are you tuning to? What do you tune?
Our standard tuning is a half step down, so E flat, E fat we call it, E fat. and then after that, okay, I'll do some drop. Well, I'll just drop the low E then. So once you're in that established tuning, I'll drop the low string to well, I'll say D, but it's actually C sharp or B. Victor Griffin from Pentagram is the first person I ever saw just tune his low string all the way down to B, right? So after that, I was like, then I experimented with going down to A or G sharp because we're half step.
Can you go that far down?
Well, in a normal guitar with only tuned down a half step, yeah. I mean, if you tune your whole guitar down to like C sharp, like Josta called me and said, you want to join Kingdom of Sorrow? I said, what do you tune to? He said, the whole guitar is a C sharp. And like, I put the guitar in that tuning, let it sit there for a minute, and I came back and I was like, man, it's just I couldn't do it. It's just for me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had the strings a million miles off the neck and had like big old cables, but then you couldn't play solos,
Joe Frank says I'm tuned E flat for my acoustic stuff, and I wanted to ask you about your acoustic playing a little bit, which I'm a big fan of. Can you give us some perspective on your acoustic guitars? Do you have a favorite? And can you show us Old Girl?
I will. Okay. Yeah. Charlotte's gonna grab Old Girl. That guitar in this picture right here, that's a Framus. Okay. I found that old Ratfix sticker, sticker built for speed. I put that on there. This is a cool guitar, man. I gave it to Connie Ox as a personal gift after I met him and we did a tour. But that guitar is great. Made in Bavaria, all maple, man. It's like German engineering. Back then, it was like a 60s. Back then, you could adjust the height of the bridge, you could adjust the action, and you could adjust the tilt of the neck. So, I mean, come on. I think we could learn a few things here.
Yeah.
My main guitar right now is a Rosewood back and sides Gibson J45 Studio.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's got a natural finish, but it's Rosewood. I fell in love with Rosewood, man, after having an old Gibson Heritage that I bought. The Rosewood is, in my opinion, is the shit. I was really lucky to get that. That's a crazy story how I got this guitar. I mean, I don't know if we got enough time for that right now, but involving nothing I was involved in, but Les Paul Jr. that was like a friend of mine that was involved in a robbery. There was some drugs involved, and it became a karma guitar. And this dude shows up, an old friend of mine goes, I want to give you that Junior. I was like, what? And I guess every time he looked at it, it was bad memory. So he showed up and gave me a $5,000 Junior.
Wow. So
that's how I got that J45.
Do you bring that out on stage?
Yeah, I mean, I take it with me. I mean, I'm taking Les Paul's, 1980 guitar, Les Paul to Europe. I mean, I play my guitars. I mean,
that's what they say. That's what they're there for.
But I bring my episode out on the road. Fuck that shit.
Well, that's a lot of people hold on to them and don't let them leave the house, and then there's some people that say the guitars are made to be played.
Right, you got to watch them. I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, you take your little kid out, someone's going to grab her. You watch it,
Yeah. Do you still have the Les Paul Customs?
I have a Les Paul Custom. I have a 1980. I don't have the original one that I had. I've been through a couple of them. My first one was stolen from me by the airlines because I was so naive. It was a curbside check-in or whatever. And but yeah, I got played on that one. But I was young.
Wow. Is that how it worked? It was like a total set. It was a setup on the curb. That whole bit.
The guy was was a porter, and I think he was like joking with me, but I was tired. I was dumb. I was probably fucking out of my mind.
Yeah.
He probably. I mean, I don't know what it was, but he ripped me off. Whatever.
It happens.
It's a learning thing. It's a learning curve,
Sure. Yep. Couple people, you know what? Let's do this one. This is legit. Melvin's Fanatic 79. Thank you for the super chat. Says Wino, regarding the hidden hand, how did that come about? Where you got together with the late great Bruce Falkenberg from Ostinato? Rest in peace.
From Ostinato, but he engineered Ostinato.
Okay.
Basically, what that was, Bruce Falkenberg was like, Spirit Caravan had been recording with a friend of mine, also the late great Chris Kozlowski, R.I.P. But we'd been recording with him. But Chris was more of an old school guy, more guitar oriented, and I felt we needed to jump up just a little bit or change the production. So Bruce Falkenberg had a studio in Maryland, a big studio where he did a lot of cool stuff, and I really got to like Bruce a lot. He had great philosophy, great guy, great musician, and so we went there to record. Spirit Caravan recorded our last stuff there. We recorded the single, Undone Minds, So Mortal Be, and then we recorded the 3 tracks that never made it to vinyl, but they ended up on the last Embrace. That was Brainwashed, 2 tracks. No, 3. Brainwashed, Dump Truck Aggressor, and the last Embrace. So I got to know Bruce pretty good. And, when shit was going south with Spirit Caravan, it was logical to ask him if he wanted to play. And so he was recording this band called Ostinato. And the guitar player for Ostinato sat down behind the kit one night and was playing drums. And Bruce goes, "Man, you're a great drummer." And Dave says, "I don't know anything about drums. I just play." So that's the band. We got Dave, the guitar player for Ostinato, Bruce, and me. And we recorded a couple records, 2 records and an EP. But that band was really magical for me. And I feel really bad, about Bruce's demise and all. Yeah.
Bruce passed away.
Okay, I'm gonna touch on a couple hot button issues because I never wanted to get into the political thing,
Now, but let me set you up a little bit for that. Bruce passed away during the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't think it was. I don't think he didn't die. It was actually after the pandemic, and he didn't have COVID or anything like that. But he didn't get the COVID stamp. Let's put it that way. He passed away, unfortunately. But Bruce is really a great guy. I thought Bruce was amazing. But Bruce took a lot of heat in the press because he sang on Hidden Hand stuff. And, people would always compare him to me. It's, his voice. And, I thought he was great, but it was hard on him. I know some of the press was hard on him. And, I think he got a little disillusioned. And I don't know, man. It was kind of a strange thing, but we put out a couple great records. The music lives, and that's all there is to it.
That's right. The art lives on. Long after you and I are gone, our art will live on.
Thank you.
So there you go.
The other guy has to see old girl. Okay, Charlie just went above and beyond, pull it out of a case somewhere. Here she is.
There it is. Oh, there you go.
This is a 1958 K Jumbo. Old girl. I love this guitar, man. This guitar stays in tune. Got a little bit of a boxy sound. You got to remember, this was entry level at the day, of the day. So,
it's a K Jumbo.
It's a K Jumbo, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, an old 58K. Now, basically, it was all produced by the same company. So Sears had Silvertone.
That's right.
Montgomery Ward's had K.
I did not know that. I know Sears had Silvertone. I did not know that Montgomery Ward had K. So that was something you'd like see in the catalog and send away for it.
Yeah, entry level in the day, So it's like this is the beginning guitar, but it's like these days, these old guitars. There's songs in this guitar. There's songs in this guitar. Yeah, and it's magical because it is a jumbo, and it has a little bit of a deeper sound, but it's a little boxy, But speaking of Silvertone, okay, so I'm really into their amplifiers, and so I bought a 1967 Silvertone 50 watt with a 115. The head's tucks into the back of it. They made a bunch of configurations. They made a 212 too, but man, that amp with an acoustic guitar, that's my sound on stage.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
A couple people are asking about your bike and what bike what bike you riding these days. Is this the bike that is in the film that you go and get?
It is, but it's in a different incarnation. Like basically, It's a 1964 panhead chopper. It's got a rigid frame. It's an aftermarket Palco frame. I think it's a Palco Springer too. It's got a Radical Springer. I think it's like 12 over, but it trails perfectly. Like it's set. It trails right. It's a heavy ass front end. I mean, it's the kind of front end where when you come up to a stoplight, let me just put this guitar down. When you come up to a stoplight, you got to hold it, or else it'll go. Wow,
Wow, I can imagine, man.
Yeah, I'm into the old school shit, man. I'm into the old look.
Yeah.
So basically, the whole thing was that this bike got a makeover, and that was the whole impetus for the video, like
For the film, for the documentary.
For the documentary.
Yeah,
Taking my motorcycle to my friends in Texas, Matt Jackson from Jackson Chopper.
And he's in the film as well. He's great.
Yeah. I mean, and I love Texas anyway. So basically, the incarnation of the bike now is, I lost the dual square headlights. I got some different pipes, different sissy bar, different seat. We went through a couple. Basically, I let Matt do some fabrications, and I love Matt. I love going to Texas. I mean, it was a good excuse to go to Texas. You know what I mean?
Right. And it does create. Yeah, go on.
No, go ahead.
It does create a nice narrative thread in the film as well.
And that really was the impetus, to that
Right.
trip. And so long as Charlie goes, well, wait a minute, why don't we do some interviews, because we thought about like all the people that we knew in the rock community that, and they were pretty spread out. But you know what? A lot of them are on the way to Texas,
Yeah. Michael says old school's the best. I drive a 70 Super B. Yeah.
Cool. Super B carb, is that what you're talking about?
I think so.
Or a car.
Yeah.
A car, both badass. I mean,
Yeah. What else do I got here? There's a couple of good ones. Let me go back a little bit. Well, listen. Ask Wino about Madball.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you about Madball. I saw one of the biggest shows of my career was the Dynamo Festival in Holland. Okay.
In 1995.
Right. Now, Sick of It All headlined that. Okay. Now, at that show, on our stage, it was Caius, Zach Wild, I'm not sure, I think Corrosion Conformity and The Obsessed, and that's a whole other ballgame, right? But later that day, Sick of It All was headlining, and I crawled out onto the fucking PA and was looking down from very high onto a crowd of, like, let's say 75,000 people slamming for Sick of It All. Man, they had the water cannons. I mean, people were getting squeezed in from the slam, and just squirting over the top of the fucking barrier into the arms of the fucking the security pigs, like flying fish in the ocean, man. It's like they they were hosing people down. I've never seen anything like it. I was looking down at a pit of, like, I hate to estimate, man, a couple thousand, 20,000 people. I don't know. There were so many people there, and like I remember, like the guitar player was Sick of It All. One point in time, he lost his juice, and he's screaming at the dude, "Power, power!" Dude, I'll never forget as long as I live, dude. Okay, so Madball, the reason I like Madball is because they got some ass in their sound, man. He's like, they got some low end, they got attitude, but they also, the songs are fucking, it's kind of heavy. It's heavy. In my world, heavy can be a few different things.
It speaks to you.
Seeing Madball and seeing Sick of It All. I'm not sure if Madball was at that show, but maybe that was. Were they on that show?
Dynamo. Excuse me. Madball did play Dynamo in 1995.
Okay, so where I saw Madball was
Typo Negative, Dog Eat Dog, Grip, Warrior Soul, Fear Factory.
Okay. I know that show. But that show was another show in Germany. I was on the Vitus tour, I think. The Vitus reunion. Yeah, when you said Typo, because I knew Peter, man. He was a great guy, but yeah. It was I think it was the German show. I forget the festival, but yeah, I just remember seeing Madball being blown away. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ray Hogan asks, ask about Townes Van Zandt.
Right. Townes Van Zandt, as we know, was a Texas singer-songwriter. Yep. I was really never into the folk music that much. I mean, I like Crosby, Stills, Nash Young and Neil Young and all that, but man, it's like when I got turned on to Towns Van Zandt, I must say I didn't like everything, but
Mm-hmm.
a couple of the songs were so powerful that it really changed my life. I mean, I think one of the heaviest songs ever written is a song I covered that Connie Ox turned me on to this record called "In Pain," and the song is called "A Song For Like a song for you know." And that song is
insert your person here, right?
Right. I mean, and you know, at that point in time, Towns Van Zandt was had this weird disease where he couldn't really sing anymore, but he still did. And I don't know, it just changed my life, man. So the 3 heavy songs. I mean, the 2 heavy songs were "Nothing" and "Song 4," and I couldn't come up with a third one. Kelly had already covered "Rake," you know, and but man, I called Kelly. I said,
And this is for the tribute record.
Yeah, I called Kelly and I said, man, you know, I can't find the third song I want to do Towns, but so it's got to be "Rake." Do you mind if I do it? You've already done it. He said no. One of the songs was left off of the vinyl because of the time thing, but I think they left off the song 4. But man, recording those songs was amazing. I mean, I feel really like I'm humble because I'm not sure it was such a great thing. I'm not sure if I did it justice. Like I know that like his son, Towns Vand's son, like posted some shit about how like I think maybe some people were playing the song just a little wrong. Like it was hard to hear, man. I mean, I did the best I could, man.
Yeah, people seem to love it. Pat Baldwin asks, Lille F65 was an underrated comeback album. Would he ever consider joining Vitus if asked, or is that chapter over?
I spoke with Chandler recently. Actually, we contacted him about using some stuff for the documentary, and he was very cool. My pitch to Chandler has always been, I think that we should fucking do it, end it right.
Mm-hmm.
We should do fucking 10 cities in the U.S. Let's fucking send our U.S. fans off for 10 shows. Yeah. You know, whether he will ever want to do that or not, I don't know. I mean, those dudes and me, we had a little of a schism. You know, there was an incident in Scandinavia, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, there's also been a lot of other personality shit. But bottom line is I told Chandler, dude, you know, 10 cities, let's fucking treat our fans right and let's send it off right. So it's really all David, you know?
Yeah. But at least you're open to it in another way.
And me and him are cool. I mean, you know, there's been a lot of ballyhoo, man. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I consider, look, water under the bridge.
Yeah, cool. You know what they say. You know, what's that line? Time wounds all heals. You know, time heals. Time wounds. Time heals all wounds. Time wounds all heals.
It's true. I mean, you could be as lovesick or as heartbroken as you want.
Yeah,
it might take a little bit of time, but sooner or later you'll get through it.
This is a weird one. I don't know if we want to go there. Story of doing speed with Cathedral using knife.
Yeah, I mean that. Oh, yeah.
That was a daily occurrence.
Let me tell you something. Okay, he saw that in the Obsessed the first documentary, like the rockumentary. Okay, Lee got it wrong. It's like he didn't eat it. It's like I stuck it by his nose. Yeah.
Right. Gotcha. What else? I mean, RSS, would he consider playing for a new band? I think that's sort of been, you know, you've always been open to that. You've always created new bands, and you're always looking for, as an artist, looking for the next sort of
back then. But I'm pretty man right now. The Obsessed, I mean, for life. I mean, the Obsessed is
that's your thing.
Yeah.
What's this one here?
We got a new record coming out, and we got some great players, man. I'm super happy. So,
G Glaw 42 asks, please ask about Wino's collaboration with Paul Chain. I do not know this. I do not know this one.
What that was I was contacted by Paul Chain's people. You know, he was in Death SS, of course, like really, you know, pretty seminal Italian band. I mean, they wore these skull masks way back then. They were cool. Death SS was cool, and then he's like a really interesting cat. I think he's like the way I perceive Paul Chain is he's sort of like almost like a mystical figure. He's sort of like a wizard, if you will. And his people contacted me about doing some shit, and he sent the material, wanted me to play lead and sing, and so I did 2 songs. One of them's called Nibiru Moon, which is about Nibiru Dawn, which is about us getting our ass kicked by Planet X back then. I was thinking about that, and another tune too. But Paul Shane's an amazing person. I never met him face to face. I know that I think he used to be a card carrying Satanist, and he's got an interesting story. Like he was doing a spell at an altar, and the knife flew off the altar and put one of his eyes out. I think that's true. Lee Dorian went to do a thing with him in Italy to do that record Alcahest with Paul Shane, and told me this whole really wild story about how they went over to like Paul's mentor's house, and that guy gave him something to drink, and then he had missing time, something about a golden chair and a locket. That, he gets back from Italy and he's got this locket. Shane calls me and goes, "Get rid of the necklace, get rid of the necklace." All this like crazy, but all true. I mean, so it was really cool to do. I think Paul Shane's an amazing guitar player. I'd like to meet him someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had another. What did I do? I just had a great one. Well, you would think so. Thanks. Yeah. We touched on this. That Warhorse was the original name for the Obsessed, right?
Yeah, we did it, but I mean, it's in. I think that it's pretty much common knowledge. It's been in some film in the first rockumentary company.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an R-Doc or not, but yeah, that was the name of the band. I mean, we had to put something together. I mean, that was real early, super early.
S. Lee Valdez says, the church within is essential listening for any fan of real music and to boot dedicated to Frank Zappa. Right on.
Bring it on, man.
A couple people I don't know if it makes sense to go there, but a couple people asking about like the SST situation, being that sort of.
Talk about that. I don't mind talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, because SST.
But you got to be ready. You got to be ready for the truth.
Yeah, well, the truth. Listen, we can handle the truth when SST has sort of a notorious reputation about sort of not really. I'm trying to phrase this properly. Not accounting to the artists. So Pat Baldwin says, is it true they ultimately left SST for Hellhound because Greg was stoned out and never returned Wino's calls about recording the next record?
No, I don't know where that's coming from.
Where does stuff like that come from?
Let me tell you the story, okay?
Yeah.
When I joined Vitus, we lived really close to the SS offices in Torrance,
Santa Monica?
California. Yeah, Torrance, California.
Torrance.
Yeah,
Okay.
LA suburb. And so we would go down to SST to talk to them about money they owed us, and they had this long table. First, they make you wait. This is so classic. This is like classic mind ops, psyop shit. First, they make you wait a long time, right? And then they'd be like, okay, well, they'll see you now. And then you go in there, and they're sitting at the end of a long table. And Dukowski's like kind of like this, like a snake charmer. Like, pretty soon, we're all going like this. And we're back out on the street going, what happened? Dukowski calls us, and he says, okay, this German label wants to bring you over to Germany, to Europe, and do a tour. So we go down there, we meet him, and he goes, here's the deal. He goes, they're going to bring you over. They're going to pay for everything. They're going to take care of you, and you're going to do this and that. And we asked Chuck, well, can you give us some tour support? And he said, no. He said, can you make us some T-shirts? He said, no. We're like, okay. What Chuck did, here's the knowledge. I love Chuck, by the way. Here's the knowledge that Chuck imparted. He goes, they have this enormous spreads like for breakfast, But the later that you get up, the more it just becomes bread and coffee. So he said, if you keep going over there, it'll snowball. And he was right. SST had a big name in Europe. I mean, the fact that we were on SST was probably the reason that they wanted us to come over there,
Mm-hmm.
And so we played the Anti-Club in LA to 50 people, right? And then 2 weeks later, we're in the Wall was still up, okay? The Wall, Berlin Wall, I mean, the Iron Curtain was still in existence. So we had to fly into Frankfurt, West Germany, and then fly into West Berlin, right?
Oof.
Then when we left on tour, we had to drive through East Berlin or the Eastern Ring there, and they charged Americans 10 marks. Like, everybody else can go through free, but Americans, if you're American, you got to pay. And I got to tell you, it was great, man. As soon as you hit the East, it was great.
Yeah.
The border guards, the East border guard, the Eastern border guards, they were drunk, and they didn't want to be there, and it was a crazy thing, man. It was the craziest thing in the world. So basically, we were able to tour the rest of Europe. So our first show in fucking Europe was in Switzerland, almost all the way to France, to 500 people. So we go from 50 people in LA. Okay,
Right.
so we're talking about like did they get it quicker? And all I can think is they had the medieval thing, the dark,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
I don't know.
That's
But it's great,
great.
cemented a relationship. Okay, so on that tour, that's the tour I was still playing guitar, and in the documentary, there's some really cool clips from that tour. From the first show, the first European show, there's a cool clip from there because this girl was fucking with me all night, and she ended up drinking my beer, and it's kind of a funny little ending, which I won't tell you. But man, it was magical. It was really magical, and so the wall was still up, and so over the years went by. We were there when the wall went down, and that was also really moving.
Yeah, I was over there in '93 when I was out on the road with Biohazard, and they played some shows over there, and it was incredible. I mean, kids were so enthusiastic, so hungry for the music, man. It was really a special time to be there. Yeah.
It was really a special time, man. And the kids were impressed. I mean, we played a couple little towns in Germany that had never had a rock show before.
There you go. There you go.
There'd be two rooms. It'd be like, it's okay to come in here into this room and stand in this room and watch us.
Yeah.
I mean, man, it was really an eye-opening experience. I mean, communism, that form of communism, the Iron Curtain. I mean, that was very, very heavy.
Yeah, yeah. One record I love is this, man. Could you give me some perspective on this?
Thank you, man. I mean, I'm really proud of this record. It was my last acoustic record. I did it with Frank Marchand. He was an amazing, the same guy who did Sacred and our new record too. He's an amazing engineer. Basically, it's pretty stripped down. I had a little bit of help from Brian Costantino playing drums on a couple songs, and a bass player that played with us for a little while. I'm just proud of this record, man. I think that Todd from Ripple, it's on Ripple Records. He's my hero because this record was slated to come out right when COVID hit,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it was going to be forever gone. And he calls me up and he says, "Man, we're going forward with the release date. We're going forward with everything. We're just not going to be able to do the party, the release party."
Sure.
And yeah.
Great artwork, man.
Crazy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Where'd that come from? The artwork.
Wendy Gadzuk. She's an artist in Southern California.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave her just a minimal amount of direction, and she put it together.
Sure.
I mean, it's fucking cool. It's strange. We were just talking about it the other night. It's definitely like, love it, man. Love it.
Yeah.
12-strand DNA on the sides, right? And then she came up with a little thing that looks like a biohazard symbol.
Yeah.
That was the thing that she came up with, and I told her, I said, "Wow, it looks like the biohazard symbol, But I mean, there you go. It's the whole COVID fucking, ballyhoo.
I would think. I mean, I know just from the processes that I've been through, but I would think that doing a record like this, an acoustic based record, is really fulfilling. You can really execute your vision. Does it make sense to say that?
Yes, it does. It's very rewarding, but it's also challenging, because the record took form after like the second session, because the first session I was totally disillusioned with my own playing. I was like, man, it's too fast, blah blah blah. So like I took a break and went back in, and I played to a click, and I'll tell you why, because I played to a click and I intentionally slowed it down, because when you're playing live, especially acoustic, you tend to ramp a little bit because you don't have your band or your and so I wanted to make sure that it could be as good as it could be. So I played to a click and slowed it down a little bit. And it's challenging, man, but I think that slowing it down just a little bit allowed it to breathe,
Yeah, playing, I play in an acoustic format from time to time, and there's always that sort of fear of, don't let it drag. It's like if it drags, you just feel like you're dying out there, man.
Yeah. In my case, it's like, man, don't ramp up too much because
you know what I mean? Yeah, you got to find the sweet spot.
You got to find the sweet spot, and really, because if you're too excited and you're playing shit too fast, I mean, when I look at some shit, I'm just like, God damn,
Yeah.
But a lot of it is because you're out there and you're naked, basically,
Yeah. Ray Hogan, friend and supporter. What are you listening to lately? Is there what's on the Wino sort of listening list?
Well, I must say I will probably be guilty of being a little retro, but I've been listening to mean, I listen to Government Mule. I listen to a lot of jazz.
Listening
I don't
to the
like
Mule, huh?
jazz. What's that?
Listening
Government
to the
Mule, old
Warren
stuff.
Haynes.
Warren Haynes. I listen to man. I've been getting into some comedy lately. Comedy. Take the edge off of reality. Take the edge off reality. I listen to a lot of 70s stuff still, man, and like I like Clutch. I like some newer bands. I like a couple King Buffalo stuff. I mean, a little bit. I like the Obsessed.
What
I like
comedy?
Heavy Tempo.
What comedy are you listening to?
What's our guy's name? Well, I love the old stuff. I love like what?
Jim Jeffries.
What?
Jim Jeffries.
Oh no, our guy.
Which guy?
The guy that's the Obsessed fan. Dave Hill. Dave Hill. Yeah. Because he's like, I guess he's a friend of Jason's and a fan of ours. But man, I like Stephen Wright. Stephen Wright, the real blasé dude from yesteryear. The real, I like Stephen Wright. I like Chappelle. I like fucking Pryor. I love listening to Pryor.
Comedy's good when you're in those upstate winters,
Man, be listening to the radio driving home and like fucking just sick of the fucking radio,
The radio's terrible, bro.
Yeah, you put on, all of a sudden comedy comes on, like, man, Lenny Bruce, sometimes.
Oh yeah, sure. Richard Pryor, Lenny Bruce, those guys.
Even right though, I loved him since I was a young kid. I mean, he's just the deadpan trip, like self-deprecating. Yeah, Stephen Wright's great.
What's gee, remember these? These were notes that I made. Not that I ever looked at them because we just went with it. But I have to ask, hopes and dreams for the future. What we're looking down the road.
The documentary has really been pretty groovy. I mean, it's kind of kicking in some doors. I think maybe hopefully going to reach some folks we haven't been able to reach before.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting ready to go to Europe in a couple of days. Actually, the whole band is here upstate.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody joins us from their individual states. We get together here. Everybody crashes here, and we live here for a couple of days. We get our rehearsals on because we're getting ready to go over the pond. First show's in Germany at Desert Fest, they call it. I don't see the desert, but
Desert Fest in Germany? Is there a desert in Germany?
No, there's not. I think maybe it comes from the maybe a little bit of that Caius thing in there.
Yeah, sure.
But anyways, so it's the first time I've been able to go to Europe in 6 years, and that my part of my heritage is German, and we've always done really well there, so we're really excited. We got a brand new record coming out. We've already done it, recorded it. It's going to be on Ripple. It's called Gilded Sorrow.
We
did it with Frank Marchand, and personally, I really think it's the heaviest thing I've ever done. We've got two new players. We've got another guitar player in the band for the first time ever, Jason Taylor, and we Canadian Cat, and we've got a new bass player, Chris Engelberger, and so we have it's a breath of good air, man.
And you hold on. Yes, you have. I have the photo. You sent it to me.
Yeah.
Feels like days ago. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, The Obsessed 2023 as a 4-piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. What opened the door to you bringing another guitar player in at this point?
Well, Jason's a special cat. I mean, he was in a band called Sierra, and we had toured with them a little bit because I think we were on a tour with was that band Mondale's band? The band that dropped off. Atomic Bitchwax, sorry.
Who?
So they dropped off the bill, and Jason's band got the call from the booking agent, and they came out and did the tour. So we got to know each other, and I was impressed with the virtuosity, but also was impressed with the dedication. I mean,
sure,
my man is the kind of guy that will he has no problem at all with sleeping on the floor, no problem at all with driving 1,000,000 miles, starving to death to play the gig. I mean, if the gig falls through, man, it's like a major thing. Like the gig is not going to happen. Well, man, we do it at somebody's house. Come on, So he's a road dog to the bone, but he's also a great guitar player. And he started calling me saying, he said a really, really amazing thing that really heartfelt statement. He said to me, when I consider my future, I would really like to be with you playing this kind of music because that's the direction I want to go. And I love your stuff. And he came to the table pretty much knowing every one of my songs.
That's awesome.
And, it took a little while for us to get. At first, like I wasn't sure if I wanted to have another guitar player, but you know, man, it's like he was very not very tenacious, but in a good way. And I was also like, you know, I started to think about it, and I was like, man, you know, let's do it.
Is it a lot of work to sort of, you know, do you have to rethink the guitar parts? Like you do this, I do that. Do we double this up? Is it labor intensive to bring in a guy like at this stage of the game?
Well, he's really good, so it enhances everything. It actually makes it easier, but at the same time, we'll say it's a labor of love because, you know, having a second guitar. Okay, when you're younger, maybe you're not mature enough to be in a 2-guitar band. Like I see a lot of that, like egos. You know, like, oh, dude, turning up all the time to be louder than the other guy.
Yeah.
Or maybe, you know, the songwriting thing. But man, when it's right, if you're in tune, in tune both physically and, you know,
mentally, right.
I mean, it's just it's beautiful shit because, man, you know, to have somebody else that's contributing, you know, and you know, it's just amazing to me. It's amazing to me because both Chris and Jason, you know, they're not young. They're not spring chickens. Well, not necessarily. I mean, considering my age, but to find people at this stage of the game, right, that are totally free and clear of can tour, no obligations, just hungry to tour. I mean, that's pretty rare and pretty amazing.
And I can relate. Just for the band I'm in, it's nice at our age to be with guys that want to be there and have a good attitude, and they're happy to, you know, they you know, I'm in a band now with 3 other guys that I actually like spending time with, and there's never any bullshit. It's like
camaraderie is what was missing. You know, the camaraderie has always been part of the rock band. You know, so now we have that again. It's amazing.
Yeah. T Cuz Bra says saw that Obsessed Sierra tour in New Orleans. Yeah, and Dano says a large chunk of my music collection wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Wino. And Tim Reichel, thank you, Tim, big supporter of the show, says this has been my favorite episode yet. I told you I had a good feeling about this one.
Cool, man. Very cool. Yeah,
great.
And you know, I'm really happy to be here, man. I mean, I think that I'm blown away. Yeah.
It was great. You know, as we were about to hit 3 hours, you know, I just want to thank you for coming on the show. And I wish you and Sherry all the best. And you know, we'll Charlie, excuse me, and we'll talk some more. Hopefully, we'll get you down to New York to do this thing at Generation Records. That would be awesome. Is there any? Yeah,
for sure.
Is there anybody you want to thank or shout out or anything you want to mention on the way out?
I want to thank the people that have endorsed me, man. You know, like Solar Amplifiers, Andy. You know, he makes some kick-ass fucking amplifiers. Alex of Vitus is winding the pickups, man. You know, he was a young kid or younger. He came in. He was hand winding pickups in the day. You know, and so I use his pickups now. And you know, I want to thank Charlie for basically being the inspiration for keeping it all together and probably not being in jail or whatever. And, guys in my band, man. Brother, Jason, Chris, and everybody's helped us. Frank Marchand, our engineer, who is like Road Dog. I mean, that guy is something special, man. So his nickname is the Punisher. So Frank Marchand,
that's great.
Todd at Ripple, man, he's my hero. Todd's keeping rock music alive. So and to all the past, I mean, we wouldn't be here without all the great bands like Bad Brains, all the punk stuff we love.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. I'll talk to you. I'll reach out to you. Let me do some recon and I'll get back to you on this New York thing. But I'd love to see you down here. We'll do something for the DVD. It'll be great.
Yeah. And we forgot about Schnabel. We got to thank for getting us together.
Oh, it was I was trying to remember who hooked us up. It was Mike Schnapp.
Yeah, and I'm sorry about mispronouncing the name. I mean, we've never
Yeah,
met.
yeah, yeah. No, it's Mike. You know, I was thinking, like, how did I connect with Wino? I couldn't remember Mike Schnapp.
That's right. Hats off, brother.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thanks a lot, and we'll do the acoustic thing for sure.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.
Yeah, brother.
All right, take care. Great show, huh? Hell yeah. That was great. Woo! Thanks, everybody. Hegs, what's up, man? Get ready. Yo, you ready for Rampage Fest, Hegs? Come on now. Rampage Fest is coming up a week from today. A week from today's Rampage Fest. Brought to you by Hegs. All right? Yeah. Anybody have anything to say? T-Cuz, bro, thank you. All right. The beginning was good, but yo, we got up to speed at around the second hour. It was great. Spiky, thanks, man. Thank you, Spiky. It was great. It's a good one. 3-hour show. It's been a while since we've done a 3-hour show, 3 hours. Listen, when you have a guest like that, Thank you, Darren. It was great. I know, right? I could listen to him all day. But you kind of want to round it out a little bit, and not just towards the end there wander around. But yes, it was a 3-hour tour on the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and he is a legend. And I highly recommend the doc. If you enjoyed him on the show, I know a lot of our kind of usual listeners might not be familiar with him. Check out the doc. If you enjoyed him on the show today, what's up, John in London? Yeah, it was great. It was great. Good stuff. Yeah, and oh, by the way, coming up next on Wednesday is Steve Birnbaum. Steve Birnbaum. So the band was here. We're going to be doing this again on Wednesday. So good stuff, man. Good. Thank you, RS70. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody that watches the show. Thank you, David Hunter. I appreciate it, man. It's a good one. Good for the spirit, good for the soul. By the way, what Wino and I was talking about was getting him and Charlie down to New York to do an event at Generation Records that I would moderate. It would be like a DVD release event where we do a Q&A and he would play acoustic. So I'm gonna be setting up. Thank you, Bill Jarbo. Am I pronouncing that right, Bill? Jarbo? Yeah. Yeah, Sunday shows are great, man. Sundays in my life have changed radically since the pandemic. Sunday for 3 years or whatever, how long is Sunday is, I do a show. Once a month, I'm down at the Bowery Electric. Oh, and happy Mother's Day. Poorly Pork Chops Vid says, shout out to my mom, rest in peace, for getting me into music, and shout out to all the mothers out there. Absolutely. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. Rest in peace to all the mothers that are gone. Can we talk about 300? Show 300 is not that far off, man. I got some ideas for 300. Believe me. I got some ideas for 300. Thank you, Bunny. It was a great show. We do great shows. It's what we do. Paul Stone, what's up? When are you coming to New York again? When are you going to come to New York and get up on stage with me, bro? And thank you for hooking up. Paul's the one that hooked us up with Abaddon for that great Abaddon show. John Wolf, what's that? Wands chime in with the dude Wino. Awesome. Okay, I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you. Sunday is Drew Day. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, come soon, man. Come soon. Yeah. I think I covered everything, right? This, that, and the other thing. Hey, if you're not on Patreon, join Patreon because the new book is getting done. So everyone on Patreon's getting a fucking free book. That's what's up. That's what's up. I don't know about you, but I'm hungry. So that said, thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks a lot for the support. Until next time, which is going to be on Wednesday, do good things and good things will come to you.